long ball hard iced tea invitational, second year running. We were at the inaugural event, and now we went to the sequel. A lot of fun there. Tony Kanja, Keg and Bottle, 10 locations around San Diego, joined us on the course. It was a wonderful day at Steel Canyon. That golf club, if you've never been to Steel Canyon, book a tee time. They are incredible. They took great care of us. So did a long ball hard iced tea. We will get to all the fun we had there. But how about the fun that the Padres are having as we head toward the trade deadline? Washington Nationals Park, 3:45 West Coast time, first pitch. And Randy Vasquez pitches 6+ scoreless innings. Only threw the ball less than 70 times. I think it was 68 pitches on the total.
68, just one away, Rich.
Dude, right. Nice. Randy Vasquez looked great. This Padres pitching staff has looked great as we head into the trade deadline. All of them are pitching like they're like, please don't get a starter. Please don't get a starter. Please don't get a starter, because they all don't want to lose their spot in this rotation, especially with the flux that's been happening. Darvish on the restricted list. Joe Musgrove, he's been hot and cold, and he's been in and out of the rotation. These guys all want to secure their spot on a team that is, look, we're still right in that in between. We don't know what this team's going to be like record-wise, but if you've been paying close attention, this is a team that can muster together some great wins against great competition, and that bodes extremely well for later in the season. And if they keep winning like this, if I'm the front office, if I'm the ownership group that oversees the Padres from a decision-making standpoint, I'm going to feel very enthusiastic as we head into decision-making time in terms of, do we buy and do we solidify? Do we stand pat? I feel like we're leaning toward being buyers here at the trade deadline.
Yeah, I think things just didn't need to fall apart for them to be buyers at the trade deadline, Rich, and it hasn't. It's been fantastic since the All-Star break. Now, you're seeing real fresh pitchers for the Padres, all four of these guys on extended rest with the All-Star break, and they've looked like it, and they've looked fantastic. Now you get to short rest with Matt Waldron getting on the mound tonight. It is 5 days, but they're skipping a spot in the rotation because they don't want to throw an Adam Mazur out there. So it's right back to the top. The four guys who started after the All-Star break start over again today. Matt Waldron on the mound, and I like that they're skipping the 5th spot. No free spots on the bingo board right now when you're making a push to the trade deadline before the month of August, where the schedule really lightens up. So right now is time to get any win you can, because a 5-4 road trip is fantastic here, and they're trending to something better than that. The Padres are giving you some encouraging signs here as we head to the trade deadline. You hope it's not false hope, right? Because we're not that far removed from losing 6 out of 7 out of 8 from these Padres. And then they just go on a 3-game winning streak. Not everything is fixed, right, Rich? But 3 games in a row, it does feel good.
It does feel good. It should feel good. I had an offensive line coach who used to say, I could see the light at the end of the tunnel. I just hope it's not a train. That was
what a line.
That was his favorite. And it's truth. It's truth, right? When you think about hope, when you think about what's down the road for you, there are times where you can be optimistic. And there are times where that's false hope. It's false optimism. It feels like something you can't really trust until you get a little bit closer to the opening, to that light source. Maybe it's just a lantern in the tunnel. Maybe it's a midpoint. Maybe it's a point of no return. I don't know, but right now it feels good. And I know we've had many moments like this through this Padres season, the up and down, the up and down. It's been that way since we've started. And we've talked about our feelings on this season. In the preseason, and I don't blame you or Travis, both of you expected this Padres team to have a losing record. In the preseason, I expected the Padres to have a couple wins over 500 and eke their way into the postseason. That was my thoughts on it. Nobody had this team pegged as a 90-win team. I don't think they're a 90-win team. Nobody had this team pegged as a division winner. I don't think they can win this division with the Dodgers in their way. And the Dodgers, by the way, are the type of team that at the trade deadline, like the Padres with AJ Preller and Peter Seidler for years, it feels like they always add and they always bolster their roster, and they always make a decision that, you know, maybe at first you scratch your head and then later on you go, oh, that's why. And that guy is good, you know, and so it works for the Dodgers. It has worked for the Dodgers. We know where the Dodgers are going to be at the end of the season. They're going to be at the top of the NL West. Where will the Padres be? I don't know, but right now I'm liking riding this wave. It feels like it's cresting. I hope it doesn't crash.
So over the next few days, what the Padres need to do is be in on everybody. And I'm sure that's exactly what AJ Preller's doing. I bet you that guy has not taken a wink of sleep. He has been on the phone constant 24/7, trying to figure out what pieces he can move and what deals he can make while avoiding the guys that the Dodgers and the Orioles and the Yankees and everybody else is going after, because a lot of teams in Major League Baseball right now do have deeper farm systems and more money to play with than the San Diego Padres. That doesn't mean Preller can't do something special. In fact, we've seen it a lot over the last few years. If you remember, Juan Soto became a San Diego Padre when no one thought he could. I remember Rich broke a microphone that day.
Yes, I did.
Kind of incredible.
Yes, I was very excited. I was
never
jumping
seen
out
a
of my
feat of
seat.
strength. John Morosi puts out a tweet, Rich, we got him. And then Rich just loses his mind and breaks a microphone.
Yeah, I speak with my hands a lot. Like, I'm one of those people. And so when I'm excited, oftentimes my hands elevate and I whack the microphone and broke it.
Do you expect Preller to make, it's not going to be a Juan Soto level move. Can it even be half of that?
Probably not. I think it's going to be underwhelming at the trade deadline. I do. But I also do trust AJ Preller. I know a lot of people don't. I know the record speaks for itself. He has not had a lot of winning seasons. But what else can you do? Like, here's my thought process. I don't trust him as a team builder. I don't think he's been a great team builder. And what I mean by that is I don't think he's put together a collection of players that have understood how to play like a team until maybe this year. This is the first time since he's really been handed a blank check the past handful of years or so, since then, I should say, that he's really seemed to cobble together something that appears to be a nucleus, a core group of players that really seem to be playing like a team. Now, I will say, Manny Machado, if he is supposed to be your team's leader, we've talked about this. We've been frank about it. I think we all in this room and many people around San Diego now expect more out of him from a leadership standpoint. I think it is, with him as a common denominator, it feels different than it does in Philly with Bryce Harper. It feels different certainly in LA with Mookie Betts. I expect, and I think a lot of fans of teams expect their star player to be the leader, and that has not been the case here in San Diego. I think he likes to be called the leader. I think he likes the feeling of being looked to as a leader from the outside looking in, for people who are maybe don't have as much information or maybe don't pay as close of attention. But from a leadership standpoint, if we're going to grade it, if we're going to put it on a scale, is he anywhere near what Bryce Harper is to the Phillies? The answer is no. Is he anywhere near what Mookie Betts is to the Dodgers? The answer is no. And the Padres could have had Bryce Harper. But I digress on that point to make this point. Over the course of his time working with Manny Machado and seeing what he brings to the clubhouse, I think AJ Preller has had to make a lot of corresponding moves to make up for maybe some of that lack of overall leadership they have. And what he's done is he's put together a lot of guys who really need to earn it. If they want to keep their spot in Major League Baseball, they have the goods, but they need to earn it. Like a Jackson Merrill, like a Matt Waldron, like even a Dylan Cease. Kind of an up and down career so far with the White Sox, but that 1 year with the Sox was amazing. So who are you going to be in this league? He's cobbled together a bunch of players like this. Luis Arraez is Mr. Consistency. You look at Fernando Tatis Jr. Face it, Fernando's got a lot to prove. Who are you, buddy? Are you the guy we saw pre-performance enhancing ban, or are you the guy post-performance enhancing ban, which hasn't been as good? We can look at the numbers, and it has not been as good. So I think this is a hungry team, and I think, to your point, I don't think it's a big splashy move. I do think that it is going to be one that matches the theme of AJ Preller's roster building so far this season, which is another hungry player who is going to try to impress to earn it, because he needs to add another piece like that.
Richie had a lot of coffee this morning. I think we could all tell. You sound great.
I feel great.
Amped. And I need to catch up to you because I'm very tired.
I know. I'm looking through the glass and I feel two things. One, I can't see you as clearly because I left my glasses in the golf cart.
I knew you looked different. You left it in the golf cart?
Yeah, I'll find it. I'll find it. I'll call them. I'll get the lost and found on the line. So I can't see it, but what I can see is slope shoulders. I can see you look like you're dragging a little bit.
So here's what I did this morning, and then I have some sound I want to play. But this morning I decided I'm going to get into work early. I got here at 4:30 a.m. this morning because I was thinking if I get in early, I'll start feeling better about my day. The entire time I've been here, I've just been cold and want a blanket and want to go back to bed.
Yeah, you should have slept in.
I should have slept in more.
What were you thinking?
It was a mistake.
So you worked hard yesterday. A lot of people, would say like golf is probably not work, and you're right. But you're coming off the ankle injury and walking around a course and taking a whole bunch of steps and being careful. And
it's a hilly course.
Yeah, you tucked yourself out.
I did.
You should have slept.
Drank a lot.
Sleeping in, by the way, for us is like 5 o'clock.
Yeah, 5 o'clock would have been nice.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the guys who have to earn it this year, right? And Luis Ariz is one of those guys. He's fighting for his first big league contract, and he's going to get there. The numbers all prove it. But another guy's Jurickson Profar. Another guy's Jackson Merrill. And both of those guys responsible for a ton of RBIs yesterday. Jackson Merrill had 2. Luis Ariz had 1. This is what it sounded like. One pitch later. Literally one pitch later.
Back to back here.
Jurickson Profar. Profar and Ariz have been 2 of the biggest offensive pieces for this team all year, along with Jackson Merrill. Yesterday, just a perfect encapsulation of that. And what does this all lead you to, Rich? What does this team having a little bit more of the rootability factor than last year's team lead you to? The Padres are second in Major League Baseball in percentage of attendance, meaning percentage of people in the ballpark compared to how much that ballpark holds. They're at about 96 this year. 96% of possible seats sold to games this year have been sold.
It's incredible. It's more of a testament to this fan base than it is to the actual players on the field or in my view, the messaging from the ownership or the front office or even the players for that matter. Like I want to give credit where credit's due. Don't get me wrong. I root for this team, and I am a fan of many of the people in the front office. I consider Tom Seidler a buddy, Peter's brother, who obviously he and his family suffered a great loss when Peter passed away, and my heart breaks for them. But I also realize what they're doing, trying to build the best team they can with what they want to spend. That is the aim hasn't changed. They still want to bring a championship to San Diego.
I apologize. Padres were 95. Phillies are 96. They're number 1 in baseball. Padres number 2. But still, the point holds.
Yeah, exactly. I honestly, when we're talking about being in the top 5 of percentage of attendance, that again, it's no offense to any of the people I just shouted out there, but it's more about the fan base. It's more about what it says about the quality of fan in San Diego. And I said this for a long time, and I meant it. And I wasn't just placating the masses here in San Diego. These are the best fans I ever played for in my NFL career. When I came here, nobody knew who I was. I was a journeyman offensive lineman trying to make his way through his career and looking for an opportunity to start. I was playing behind an aging center and a couple other aging offensive linemen looking to break through as a starter. And, I certainly wouldn't expect to be stopped in grocery stores, recognized by people. It had never really happened over the course of my career. It happened a lot in San Diego. People would stop me and be like, "Hey, Rich, great game." And they would want.
Happened yesterday 3 times.
Well, yeah, like people loved the Chargers here, still love the Chargers here. But when they were playing here, you had a great quality of fan. You had a terrific fan base for that team. Now, what the owner did with his decision-making was awful, and we don't have to go back and review history here. But with the Padres, they're experiencing that. If you build something worth rooting for, fans in San Diego will root hard. The Padres have built something worthwhile. Now, granted, 2022 was extremely exciting, and since then it's been less so, but I don't think it's for lack of effort. I don't think anybody on that 2022 squad didn't want to play great baseball. They just didn't. And I do think, unfortunately, what that did is it led to a lot of guys kind of giving up at times. And it led to a lot of bad attitudes and egos getting the way of production and a more me instead of us attitude in that clubhouse. And there were a lot of guys playing for the name on the back of their jersey instead of the words on the front of the jersey. But this year it does feel different because you have a lot of guys, like I mentioned earlier in this soliloquy I gave, who actually care about earning their spot, not just on this team, but in this league, saying I've arrived. And so it's important, whatever you do at the trade deadline, the energy needs to match what we've seen so far from this team. Do not put somebody in this clubhouse who's a poison pill. Find somebody who matches this energy, who matches the hunger we've seen so far this season. That's the most important thing the Padres could do. By the way, if you haven't been paying attention to the National League, the Padres are they're number 3 in terms of winning percentage in the National League. I'm not saying they're world beaters. I'm not trying to confuse anybody. This isn't a team that's in the top 4, but they're in the wild card and their spot is secured right now because they're number 3 in terms of winning percentage in the National League.
They're actually half a game back of the Mets.
Yeah.
So they're out of the wild card right now.
They're not out of the wild card.
Yeah, as of this morning, the Padres are a half game out of the wild card. I don't think they're 3rd in winning percentage either. They are.
Oh, they're 4th. 7th. No. In the National League, they're 4th
so
in the National
Phillies,
League.
Dodgers, Brewers are all the division leaders, and then Braves, Cardinals, Mets are all ahead of them in the wild card. So they're 7th in the National League in winning percentage.
The point stands though. So the Braves have 54 wins, right? They're leading the National League with 54 wins. Now
they're leading the wild card. The Phillies are leading the National League as a division leader.
Oh yeah, you're right. I'm looking at the wild card, you're absolutely right.
Found a misinformation rich.
That is actually when I stand corrected. I clicked on the wrong tab. Thank you though for cleaning that up. Yeah, they are.
I've looked at this freaking page a million times trying to figure out where the Padres are.
They're way off.
And look at the rest of the National League, by the way. Everyone's within like 5 games.
Yeah. Listen, the point is in the wild card, because that's the tab I did click on, so I'm going back over to it. In the wild card, when you look at the Padres, they're not far off. They're not far off from being a playoff team. My goal here isn't to impress upon anybody that the Padres are more than they are, because they're not. This is a middling baseball team. Your record is what it's like. Parcells says, you are what your record says you are. Okay. And there's a lot of truth to that, because you could say, well, at times this lineup, they really hit, and you just got to get players on, and then it's a little bit of a bloop and a blast type thing. It's like, yeah, that's great. I'm with you, bud. But here's the problem: is they've lacked consistency. And then you could tell me, you can impress me with a lot of the stats, like Randy Vasquez, his emergence over his last 5 starts. He's a sub-2 ERA guy. Like, Randy Vasquez has been dominant in his past handful of starts, but he has also been a gas can at times. He's been wildly inconsistent this season. All of these pitchers have had their ups and downs, minus Matt Waldron, who's been pretty consistent this season. But my point being, like, yes, I'm not trying to sell you a dream, but what I am trying to tell you is the dream's still alive. Like, we're not living the nightmare that was last season,
for sure,
after coming off that high of the 2022 season.
In this 9-game stretch, this road stretch right after the All-Star break, we talked about it a lot. Could have tanked the entire season, and at least to this point, 4 games into it, it does not appear to have done so. In fact, it seems to have bolstered you, because once you get into the month of August, as soon as you get done with the 2 games against the Dodgers, the month of August should be cupcakes. Now, you play the Rockies twice within 10 days, and the Rockies, for whatever reason, like to beat the Padres, but those should be wins. The Rockies are sitting at the bottom of the National League. And you play the Pirates 2 times in 10 days. Like, you just go back and forth, and the Marlins are in there too, and the Marlins are terrible.
But
that should be a month of August that you dominate.
But
the Padres bad against bad teams.
That's right.
And you might face Paul Skeens twice.
Yeah,
and Livy Dunn might come to San Diego. That might be a thing.
That would be cool too. Yeah, there are a lot of butts there. Here's what, and a lot. Wink.
I got you. The month of August should be cake.
It should be. It should be. But again, the Padres are a middling team for a reason. It's because sometimes they can't get out of their own way, and sometimes, for whatever reason, they can't get up for lesser competition. Okay. On the show today, we have those Luke Bryan tickets. He's playing an August 8th show at North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Ticketmaster.com to get tickets, or keep listening all day today on this show here all day tomorrow, all day Friday. We will have those tickets for you as well.
Today's only Wednesday.
Also, correct. Also,
What?
we're going to talk about our day at the golf course in just a moment. But first, all right. You've been waiting for 20 minutes. We know you want it. So, Fletch, why don't you fill in everybody on what they missed?
You just really ruined my day, Richard.
Why? What did I do?
You said today's Wednesday.
Yeah.
Really thought it was Thursday.
It's hump day, buddy. And you got to get over the hump.
Yeah, we'll get over it. Padres did get a really nice win yesterday over the Nationals. Third straight win for the Pods. Luis Ariz, Jerks, and Profar both hit home runs back-to-back. 4-0 final score yesterday. 2 more against the Nats. First pitch today at 3:45. Matt Waldron going to be on the mound as they shift to a 4-man rotation. We presume until the trade deadline when they add another pitcher or two. Hey, tennis star Coco Gauff is going to join LeBron James as a flag bearer at the opening ceremonies of the Olympics on Friday. I would imagine they will both be walking right behind Snoop Dogg, who has become the most important person in U.S. American Olympic history.
That's right. Yeah, he's a torch bearer. They will be the flag bearers. All high honors, and Snoop's really earned it.
He's going to light a joint with the Olympic torch.
I mean, it feels like that's where we're heading. I don't know what the rules are on Mary Jane out there in France land, because here in the States, still federally illegal, but recreationally legal in most states now. So we'll see.
Yeah, but like Snoop lit up a joint at the halftime show at SoFi.
Also true.
Yeah, I feel like he can do it wherever he wants. He's like Seth Rogen. The International Olympic Committee, Rich, awarding the 2034 Olympics to Salt Lake City. I did not read far enough into the article to figure out whether that was summer or winter.
It would be for sure Winter Olympics.
You would think so if it's in Salt Lake, but this is 2024. Oh, yeah, so it would have to be because that's 10 years from now. So that's
Wait. Hang on, slow down. So when is it?
2034.
2034. Yeah, it would be Salt Lake would be the Winter Olympics, I believe.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
And yesterday we golfed.
Oh my God, did we golf?
We were really good to start.
Yeah, so we'll get to that in a moment. But the fun that we had, I think, is what we need to focus on. So 3 things I think really accentuated this round of golf. First and foremost, getting invited to golf anytime is amazing. And so huge thanks to our friends at Long Ball Hard Iced Tea. That was a blast. Daniel with Long Ball joined us on the course, actually for a celebrity shot. He teed off for us on
like a 315-yard drive.
Yeah, he piped one, and we used that one, that's for sure. Our second shots were actually pretty good after that. That's where we met Jack, who also accentuated the round. Our fourth had to bail, so we had an empty seat in the cart. And so randomly, Jack, who works at Steel Canyon, if you're listening this morning, which I'm sure you're not because he was overserved.
He's asleep.
Jack had a good time. Jack had a good time on the course. He joined us, and that was a lot of fun. And then Tony Kanja. Never can we overstate the importance of Tony Kanja, keg and bottle, 10 locations around San Diego. So if you're looking for any beer, liquor, or wine, get to a keg and bottle near you. I promise you there is one near you. He joined us, and Tony brings the fun. He brought a cooler, snuck it onto the cart, and then we had, in the cooler, the funniest thing is it wasn't until we got to the first tee box when we actually opened the cooler, filled with Modelo's and ice. But then beyond that, he also brought energy drinks, and he bought spicy margaritas.
Yeah, well, he brought a Tupperware container filled with liquid.
Yeah.
And we both assumed it was lime juice for the Modelo's.
That's right.
So I think you even poured some of the liquid in the Tupperware into one of the Modelo's.
That is correct.
And then I smelled the liquid that was in the Tupperware, and I said, oh, well, that's not lime juice. That's a margarita. That's a spicy margarita.
So I began drinking it in large gulps, and it was phenomenal. So getting back to the actual golf. Oh, and by the way, before we get to the actual golf, we ran into a San Diego State golfer, Skyler.
I actually looked him up this morning. It turns out, would not have guessed it from our conversations yesterday. 2021 All-American academic team.
Academic All-American.
Yeah.
Really, really good guy, and real fun hang. We
talking so much smack to him all day long.
We talked so much. I think I said F you, Skyler, 30 times. 30 times. He was so good at golf.
And that Chandler dude in his group, we also couldn't stand.
Oh, yeah. We gave it to him as well. But Skyler, every single shot, every single shot was nauseatingly perfect. He has a beautiful swing. He can really play golf. He's a pro. He's I believe he plays. We had a brief conversation. I believe he plays on the Mexican tour. Really good guy. Really good golfer. So it was a fun round of golf. If you missed it, we did post to KGB and our own accounts some of what we did again this year on, I want to say it was the 10th hole that we played. Maybe it was the 8th, man, maybe the 9th hole we played. There were B12 shots. So we all got injections on the course again, which, it's the only golf tournament I've ever played in where at the turn they line you up and give you an injection.
I'm fine with it.
And I still don't turn it. I mean, we walked up to the tee box. This time it was less surprising because it happened last year. And I'm just like, which arm? And they're like, well, what's your non-dominant arm? I'm like, my left side. And they're like, oh, so let's do it on your left. I'm like, nope, I want to dominate this shot. And so the lady was like, okay. Yeah, anyways, that was a ton of fun. It was a really good time at the golf course. Fletch is absolutely paying for it. I could see it all over his face right now.
I don't feel hungover, and I think it's because of the vitamin B12 shot and
yeah.
whatever that drink they gave us on one of those
holes.
holes.
You like a hangover drink.
Yeah, so I don't feel hungover in the slightest, and I got to bed kind of early, I guess, but I do feel very tired.
Yeah,
and I think that might be the sun. I did not use sunscreen at all because sunscreen's a myth. We've been over this.
Yeah, that's not true
either.
Yeah,
different strokes for different folks.
I think it's just science.
I did, according to you, set a new personal best from a driver perspective.
Dude, yeah. I
don't know if the number is accurate.
I don't either. So we would have to talk to somebody at the course to find out exactly how far out we were. But if our math is correct, Fletch hit a drive over 350 yards.
Now, it was a tall tee box to a low fairway,
yeah.
and there was a slope on the fairway. So I could have gotten quite a bit of run.
Yeah, it's very possible.
And I did hit the absolute dog out of it.
I mean, it was one of the more perfect shots of the round, which actually we're running out of time here. So on the other side, we'll explain what shots do to a round, because I have a feeling we made one grave mistake. Speaking of a mistake, stepping away after only 6 years, especially when you got a chance to make a roster, is that a mistake? We'll cover it here next. Big Rich, TD, and Fletch on a Wednesday.
Hit us up on the talkback mic. That's the little microphone icon right next to the play button when you're listening on San Diego Sports 760 on the free iHeartRadio app. Again, the talkback mic on the free iHeartRadio app. This update is presented by the Jim Betrell Real Estate Team. Padres get a nice win yesterday over the Nationals for their third straight. Luis Arraez, Jerks, and Profar both hit home runs. 4-0 final score yesterday. 2 more against the Nats. First pitch today at 3:45. Matt Waldron going to be on the mound. Kevin Acee going to be on the show a little bit later on, coming up at 8:30. Tennis star Coco Gauff going to be joining LeBron James as flag bearers at the Olympic ceremonies on Friday, the opening ceremonies, and the International Olympic Committee awarding the 2034 Olympics to Salt Lake City. We did figure it out. That will be the Winter Olympics in 2034. Would you like to know what your home would sell for today? Get a simple text message with your home's value by texting your address to 855-600-6000. You'll get no phone call, just a text. Jim Betrell has the buyers. Simply text your address to 855-600-6000. Big Rich, TD, and Fletch on a Wednesday. We got Luke Bryan tickets coming up on the show today. He's going to be at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater on August 8th. Ticketmaster.com for deets and for seats. Coming up a little bit later on, we continue our little search around the NFL for the different divisions and what the prospects are this year. We're going to go to the NFC South a little bit later on today. And as Rich makes his way back into studio.
Sorry, buddy.
Richie, we got a talk back yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
That we cannot play on the air.
What was it about?
From our guy, Handyman Matt. And it's we were talking towards the end of the show about NFL and load management. And he just has a very different opinion on what load management should actually mean. But I was just looking through talkbacks to play coming back in this segment, and I was laughing my ass off in here all by myself before I started the update. And the update was a total mess because I was laughing my ass off. So, Handyman Matt, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. We appreciate it very much. Yeah, load management can be misconstrued. There's no question about it. The NFC South coming up, the NFC East as well. We'll break down those two divisions in our preseason divisional preview. But before we get to that, we do stop off on the NFL to discuss Michael Gallup, a curious retirement, 28 years old, retires after 6 seasons. He's caught over 260 passes. He's amassed over 3,700 yards through his career. Not like one of those receivers where you think to yourself like, oh gosh, like we need him. But you know what? There have been times where he's been clutch. There have been times where, an injury or two, he's been needed during his now short career overall with the Cowboys. I retired after 6 years. I was riddled with injuries. My body broke down before I could really, I felt like I was just getting started on my career when it finished, and I wish I could have played longer. In fact, after my back surgery, I tried to get back in. It's one of those weird decisions that everybody has to make eventually. And sometimes the decision's made for you. In my case, it was kind of made for me. I ultimately was the one who said when, but when you're, have three different teams kick the tires on you over the course of a season, and you have a young kid at home and you feel broken down because your body hurts all the time, it's probably time to call it a career. And so I did make that decision. Michael Gallup, I'm curious why. We haven't heard from him yet. We don't know what the reasoning here is yet. I'm curious if we'll ever find out. But after playing only 6 years at the receiver position, he calls it quit.
I got one realistic theory and one kind of fun theory.
Okay.
The realistic theory is in 2022, if you remember, Michael Gallup had a pretty horrific knee injury. It was a torn ACL, a grade 3 torn ACL. He missed the rest of that year and even into some of 2023. Michael Gallup is now with the Las Vegas Raiders. So my realistic theory is that injury probably changed him. Right. You get injuries sometimes. Like, I don't know that I'm going to go on any strenuous hikes the rest of my life because honestly, I'm a little scared about it. But Michael Gallup, that injury may have changed him and his view towards football. The fun theory is that he was on the Cowboys for a long time. As far as I know, the Cowboys have some of the best facilities and best ownership and best treatment of players in the entire NFL. Then he went to the Raiders.
Well, the Raiders have brand new facilities,
but
they have I think it's called the Fertitas Center. I don't know if they named it after him, but they have the brand new training facility in Vegas. And also, I've been to that stadium. That stadium is gorgeous.
Going in a couple weeks. I'm excited about it.
Dude,
but
it's incredible.
It is a different playing field when you deal with Jerry Jones' treatment of players to Mark Davis' treatment of players.
Well,
not saying Mark Davis is a jerk. I'm just saying they have different amounts of money.
Well, yeah, that's certainly true. It's a fun theory. It's possible. I mean, yeah, honestly, if you told me he retired because he was a Raider, I'd be like, yeah, that's plausible. But I would say this, reacting to what you just said, most likely it's the first, not the second thing you thought. So the former is he he had this knee injury and it changed him, and maybe it gave him a little perspective where he's got to protect himself and his body, and so he doesn't want to go anymore, rather than the latter, which is, I'm a Vegas Raider now after being a Cowboys, and I refuse to eat the hamburger meat they serve here at the training facility.
Do you ever wish that you were a Cowboy for just a little bit? Because they do get treated like kings.
I knew a bunch of guys who played for the Cowboys, former teammates of mine. They all said the same thing. Like, you honestly are like a king in Dallas.
Now, I've been raised to hate the Cowboys, but like, I think it'd be pretty cool to play for them.
Absolutely. The second thing you said that I want to react to is the fact that you said you're going to be going for no more strenuous hikes. Fletch, when you broke your ankle,
I know
you were just walking on flat ground and you slipped on an acorn.
The part that I was walking was pretty sloped, but it's more fun.
Like, how sloped?
It was pretty sloped. Like, I actually, TD and I were talking about this when you were out. Like, we should go do a dramatic recreation.
100%.
Like, get some animators to do it and have a little squirrel up in the tree, like, laughing.
We need to hire like one of the promo kids who we hire over the summer. Like, how seasonally we'll bring in a kid for like 3 to 6 months, and maybe they need college credits, and maybe we'll get one of the kids to come with us one day, and we'll take them out, and we'll like say paid actor underneath it, and we'll have them like in super slow-mo, like Chariots of Fire, like slipping, and then have like a stuffed animal Brock dog, like where he's flying through the air. There's acorns everywhere, and then you just see a huddled mass of humanity and somebody just screaming while concerned hikers nearby come answering the call. How much screaming did you do after?
A lot.
Yeah.
Not so much screaming, more just F. I broke my effing ankle. F.
You knew you broke it immediately?
Oh, yeah, I heard it.
Yeah.
It sounded like a wooden back cracking.
To laugh at you.
No, it's okay. I would
so
like for you guys to see where it happened so you can kind of understand it a little better, because I think that you think that I was just like walking around, hands in my pockets.
No, dude, I know you do not over exaggerate, and every physical feat you've done, you've always been 100% honest with us.
Yeah, Kendall was there for this one. She could tell you how horrific it was. It's like Normandy, man.
Jesus. You're a sick puppy. You've always have been, though. You know what? We all were sick puppies. And I honestly mean this. We were getting a little too high on our own supply. We were doing something called Next Level Fat Guy Stuff. We did it on Tuesdays, and we would come in here and we would cook the most disgusting, calorie dense delights for each other. And
Remember truck stop nachos?
oh my God, yeah, which we did in the office, I'm pretty sure. Or no, maybe we did them in here.
That was it here. We
Yeah.
did the chili con queso in the office.
Oh, that's right.
God, we were degenerates.
We were degenerates. Things got out of hand fast. We really, really did a number on ourselves, and we all gained a tremendous amount of weight. So the result of that was, I believe it was our big boss here in San Diego, Noreen Ippolito, who walked in and said, "Listen, you fatsos, enough of this. We're tired of looking at you through the glass. You barely fit through we're buttering door frames just to squeeze you into places here. This is embarrassing for us and for the company." And we said, we agree. And so we're like, what are we going to do about it? She's like, honestly, we're thinking about euthanizing the three of you. But before we do that, before we do that, we're going to get you in touch with Wayne and Chloe at sdfatloss.com. So it was either we had to choose between ritualistic murder or losing weight the natural way.
Why am I picturing the scene in Apocalypto when they're on the pyramid chopping people's heads off?
Well, listen, that's what this was going to look like. And Noreen Ippolito wields a honest sword, but a sword nonetheless. Anyways, so Wayne and Chloe, they met us. We were fat. And they said, we could work with you. Trust us. And all of us were skeptics. We're like, we've tried some other things. This isn't going to work for us. And it did. And that's the honest truth. After 14 days, I lost 15 pounds. That's 2 weeks. So 2 weeks time, I lost 15 pounds. So if you're one of those people like, oh, I need to lose 20 pounds, but that is so daunting. And the summer is already halfway through. It's late July. I didn't start soon enough. I'm going to start next month, blah, 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 all these things. Like, don't make those excuses for yourself. Start now and you could lose the weight fast. That's what happened with us. That's what's happened with a lot of the clients with Wayne and Chloe at sdfatloss.com. Again, like I said, it's the natural way. There's no gimmicks here. And they're not sending you meal replacements. There's no weird shakes you got to drink. You're not counting calories. You're not counting points. You don't have to exercise with sdfatloss.com. In fact, they encourage us not to because you're losing weight so fast you don't need to. So within the first 30 days, I lost over 35 pounds. TD was down 30. Fletch has lost over 45 pounds in total. It's been amazing. So if you want to lose weight fast, SD Fat Loss is where you go. sdfatloss.com. And if you sign up today, mention Big Rich, TD, and Fletch, you save $200 on your subscription. That's sdfatloss.com. Coming up next, like father, like son. Fletch, discussing sports here every single morning and other stuff as well. You know who I'm talking about, Matthew. Thanks for the talkback. On the talkback mic, if you don't know what we're talking about, this may be new to a lot of our listeners. We have a lot of new listeners. We see you. We appreciate you jumping on board. Thanks for trying out the show. Big Rich, TD, and Fletch going on to year 2 starting in August. We're going to have our anniversary coming up.
Whoa.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
That's wild.
So
kind of cool yesterday out at the golf course.
Your microphone is not on. What were you just saying? Because I was riveted with your animated body language.
Today's rough, man. I was recording something during the commercial break, didn't click it back, whatever. Yesterday at the golf course,
Yeah.
pretty cool moment before our round even started, actually. Turns out the guys at Society, who are just up the road.
Oh, yeah. We met our buddy Casey over at Society.
I guess they listen all the time.
Yeah.
Dudes at Society Brewing just up the road. I go there all the time. That's one of my favorite spots.
Yeah.
Awesome outdoor area. Great for dogs. We bring Brock there all the time and get a couple beers. They listen every day.
Yeah. This is like your hood, which is it's very cool that they're this close because look, when I was playing for the Chargers, our training facility was on Murphy Canyon Road, which is set between Arrow and Claremont Mesa. And so Society is right there off of Claremont Mesa Boulevard. And so many times we went to, some of the eateries and bars around that area during training camp days off and stuff like that. It's just a cool little area. So to know that not only are they open, but they're doing well. It was cool to connect with them. Cool to meet listeners on the golf course yesterday at Steel Canyon for the Long Ball Hard Iced Tea Invitational. Our second year going to that as well. That was a blast. So yeah, thanks to Casey. And I'm blanking on the name of his buddy who was in the car with him.
I want to say Tyler, but I could be wrong on that.
We met a lot of people.
Big
yesterday.
John, we got to meet before the round also.
Yeah, Big John.
And you asked him, why do they call you Big John? Meanwhile, he's 6'7".
Yeah, it was a dumb question. Not all of my questions are great. There's no question about that. All right, so Charlie Woods. Charlie Woods is Tiger Woods' kid.
We could have beat that dude yesterday.
Charlie Woods made it to the U.S. Junior Amateurs. He got accepted to this 264 player field, and like we know, it's time to make some hard decisions by the weekend when you're playing in a tournament, or I should say, after 2 days of a tournament, it's time to make tough decisions. And in this case, only the top 64 players move on. Charlie Woods was near the bottom of the pack with a 22 over through 2 rounds of golf. Charlie Woods is not his dad. It's as plain as day. He's not his dad. Is he a good golfer? Yeah. You could argue he's one of the top 200, 300 golfers in the country at very least at his age range. But is he as good as his dad? No. He's got a lot to learn. He's got a long way to go. And who knows, maybe by the time he is graduating college, or should he play in college, or by the time he's, into his 20s, he can compete on the PGA Tour. He certainly has easily one of the best mentors available in his father. But this is a very different story than the story we've been witnessing in basketball with LeBron James and Bronny.
I was just going to say, thank God there's not a draft in the PGA Tour.
Because it would lead to what we've seen, which is nepotism.
Right.
In golf, there's a great thing about golf. Now, I understand this sport, there's a high barrier to entry. You need to spend money on clubs. A lot of people don't have that kind of money. You need to pay green fees. A lot of people don't have that kind of money. Coaching is expensive, private coaching, or even signing up for classes or teams. All of that stuff requires money. A lot of this is a country club sport. So this isn't a very approachable sport for a lot of people. But one thing that's great about golf is it's a meritocracy. It's you against the course. Nobody's trash talking you. In fact, they encourage people to shut their mouths when you're swinging your golf club. You're out there competing in your own head. And so you're either good or you're not. And that line, it's a thin line sometimes. And sometimes the course is playing particularly difficult and nobody's playing good. You just have to be not as bad as the next guy. Like it's crazy how easy it is to see the golfers who are struggling and the golfers who aren't. And there's no hiding it. Like you can lie to me until you're blue in the face about how Bronny deserves to be an NBA basketball player. But the reason why Bronny James is a basketball player and was drafted by the Lakers with the 55th overall pick is because of who his dad is. Otherwise, the Lakers would have chosen somebody else. Because guess what? They could have chosen the best shooter on USC, who was an all-conference performer. Instead, they picked like the seventh or eighth best guy on the team.
Maybe
So,
not even.
and maybe not even. Like, so you don't pee on my head and tell me it's raining, because it's baloney.
Yeah, the thing about golf, and Tiger actually talked a lot about this last week, is once you start qualifying for things, it becomes a little easier. Like, you get exemptions. He can play in the Open, for example, until he's 61 years old, I believe, because Tiger Woods is exempt for that long. You have to earn every bit of what you get in golf. And we talked to Skyler yesterday, who right now is playing on the Mexican tour. His dream is to get to the PGA tour. How do you do that? Well, you go through tours like the Mexican tour, the Corn Ferry tour, and you're not making any money outside of what sponsors give you. And
No.
it's tough to get those sponsors. So as you work your way through, it's all about trying to qualify for these different events. And then maybe at some point, you can get lucky enough to get a PGA Tour card.
And you'll win purse money, you'll win prize money for winning tournaments. Like, and it's nothing to turn your nose out. We're talking about, $10,000 here or there, $15,000 here or there. The Asian tour, there's a lot of tours out there that you can participate in, but the real money is on the tour, the PGA tour, or the European tour,
Or live golf.
And in order to get there, you legitimately need to be one of the top 120 or so players on the planet. And that's probably 200 or so players on the planet. But still, we're talking about a planet filled with 8 billion people.
And even once you get there, it's pretty easy to drop off.
Absolutely. So look, it's a meritocracy. Charlie Woods isn't his dad. And by the way, that's not a bad thing. And by the way, since Bronny Jr. is part of this conversation because of the nepotism that led him to being a Laker, Bronny Jr. isn't as good as his dad. And that's okay. What isn't okay is getting your son a job that he didn't deserve. And that's what people are reacting to. Now, again, like I said, you could lie to me. You could tell me it's okay. And that, that a lot of people get their job based on nepotism. Yeah, that's fine. But if we're going to talk about sports is supposed to be a meritocracy. That is the dream we're sold as kids when we're playing. Who's ever the best gets to play. Now, it isn't true, because sports is also a business, and we understand that too. But don't lie to me. Don't lie to me and tell me the reason why Bronny James is there is because he was the best, or the 55th best player coming out of college basketball this year. Because again, if you believe that, I got a bridge I'd like to sell you. All right. The NFC East. What are they going to do about the last 6 games of last season? Can the Eagles contend for the division? Also, we have our morning monologues. And what the hell did Joe Burrow do? What did he do? That's all next. Big Rich, TD, and Fletch.
This update is presented by Toyota Carlsbad, relaxed and friendly since 1972. Padres get a nice win yesterday over the Nationals for their third straight. Luis Arraez, Jerks, and Profar back-to-back home runs. 4-0 final score yesterday. 2 more against the Nats. First pitch today, 3:45. Matt Waldron going to be on the mound. Tennis star Coco Gauff going to join LeBron James as flag bearers at the opening ceremonies of the Olympics on Friday, and the International Olympic Committee awarding the 2034 Olympics to Salt Lake City. The heat is on for big summer savings at Toyota Carlsbad. Right now, save on new Toyota Tundra and Tacoma trucks. See specials online at toyotacarlsbad.com. Toyota Carlsbad, the most relaxed and friendly place for over 50 years.
Welcome back. Big Rich, TD, and Fletch. Happy Wednesday to those who celebrate. Happy Hump Day. That's right, it's midweek. We still got a lot of week left, but we're damn glad you're with us. We need you. We need you more than ever. We were golfing yesterday, a lot of drinking. Tony Konjic, Keg and Bottle 10 locations around San Diego. He was on the cart with us at the Long Ball Invitational over at Steel Canyon, which, by the way, the course is in amazing shape. Probably a little worse off after we went through. There were a couple of, earth-moving divots that were taken out of that course.
You didn't ruin any greens this year.
That's true. That is true.
Shirt stayed on the whole round.
Yeah, that's also true.
To the disappointment of many people, by the way.
There were plenty of people who saw a lot of Fletch, a lot of Big Rich on the golf course yesterday, or I should say a year ago. So yesterday it was way more tame. We will review that round of golf a little bit later on. We do also have to preview the NFC East this hour and get to our morning monologues. Before we do any of that, though, what the hell is going on with Joe Burrow?
I don't know, but my wife is pissed.
So Joe Burrow, he is, I would say he's one of the more interesting characters in the NFL, and here's why. Obviously, he's great. That skyrockets you to the top of people's interest. I mean, look, in Major League Baseball, Mike Trout's great. He's not a star. He's very, very talented, and actually he's coming back from that calf or whatever injury he's had. The fact that I can't even remember which injury he had.
Just pick apart on his body. It's been injured at some point.
Yeah, that's a good point. He's often injured, so maybe that's part of the conversation. But also, he's not a star. Like, you just don't pay attention to Mike Trout that much because he's a great player. He's just not a star. Kawhi Leonard, it's kind of the same thing. It's like, is Kawhi out or is he back in? He's a great player. He's an NBA champion. He's a finals MVP twice over in his career. Like, this guy is, ostensibly and objectively great, but he's just not a star, so you don't clue into him. And by the way, there are players like that in the NFL too. Trevor Lawrence reads that way to me. Is he a great player? Yeah. Does he have phenomenal potential in this league? Yeah. But is he a star? No, he shies away from the limelight. He doesn't seem to be interested in all that. But Joe Burrow's a star. He's a superstar, especially when he's playing great. Now, last year, wrist injury, surgery, sat out the whole year. Bengals had a tough season. So his the shine, I should say, takes a little bit of a hit. But he's back this offseason. He's making headlines, making the rounds, and hopping on podcasts and doing interviews and talking about the season ahead. And by the way, all the while flashing different fashions. Like, he likes to dress up after wins. He's always wearing those Joe Cool sunglasses, and occasionally will change his hairstyle. None more drastic and dramatic than the recent look bleach blonde crew cut.
Slim Shady.
He looks like Eminem when we first got to know Slim Shady.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Now, this is the second risky hairstyle that Joe Burrow has gone with this season. And we're not typically breaking down hairstyles for NFL players. Like, there's a lot of them out there. But Joe Burrow feels like a special case because he showed up this year, the first time we saw him since the Cincinnati Bengals season ended, with the Anakin Skywalker Star Wars 2 haircut. It was a little longer. It looked a little, what's going on here, Joe? And then he cut it back to normal Joe Burrow, and he looked fantastic. My wife, by the way, is following this very closely. She's in love with Joe Burrow, but she did not like the Anakin Skywalker haircut. She loves the normal Joe Burrow, Joe Cool haircut, like he had at LSU when he was smoking the cigar in the slow motion video around the locker room after a national championship win. And then he goes to the real Slim Shady. I was not aware of this until last night when it popped up on my wife's TikTok feed, because her TikTok feed is more aggregated to Joe Burrow than mine is, Rich.
Listen, it makes perfect sense. He's a handsome fella. I'm sure she's searching his name a lot. Like many women around this country absolutely are. Okay.
It's a bad look.
So
This is like when you shaved your head.
yeah, boy, I'll tell you right now, he looks a lot better than I looked. And by the way, the dye job he got a lot better than the one I got. So no comparison there.
What
And
did the French guy say to you?
he goes, your hair, it is, I can't even repeat the word. He goes, this is disgusting. You need to do something. Your hair is gray and it's green and it's yellow and it's black. It's disgusting. You need to color your hair. And I was like, I need to do what to it? He's like, you need to color it. You need hair dye.
And I was like,
yep. And well, no, I mean, he was just so convincing. It had the accent and everything. I'm in a salon by myself. There's nobody to bounce this question off of except for the guy who was smoking a cigarette coming in from a cigarette break, who was working the front desk. And I was like, what do you think, man? And he was like, yeah, listen to him. He knows what he's talking about. I was like, yeah, he really does. All right, let's do it. That was a huge mistake. I ended up shaving all of my hair off moments later, but I digress. We also had some breaking news around the NFL, like this from Adam Schefter's account 13 hours ago. So this is after we turned off our microphones and went golfing yesterday. Sources: Cowboys wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, who has been unable to land the type of contract extension that other wide receivers have, is not expected to report to training camp Wednesday with the rest of his team. Lamb is entering the last year of his deal, scheduled to pay him close to $18 million. So this is interesting because when Zeke Elliott held out, and this was back in 2019, he won a contract that made him the highest paid running back in the NFL. Okay. Zach Martin, who was a guard, he held out last training camp. And he won a contract making him the highest offensive guard in the league, highest paid offensive guard in the league. So there is a precedent here for what CeeDee Lamb is doing. Actually, some of that information I got from Ed Werder, who quote tweeted Adam Schefter's tweet. So here's the reality for the Dallas Cowboys. You're going to have to pay CeeDee Lamb because he will hold out of training camp, and it will be harder for him and Dak to develop the rapport you need to have heading into the season unless you pay him.
Who needs who more? Do the Dallas Cowboys need CeeDee Lamb more, or do the 49ers need Brandon Ayuk more?
That's a great question. I would argue because they're spoiled with other weapons like Kittle and McCaffrey and Debo. I would say the Cowboys are more CeeDee Lamb reliant than the 49ers are Ayuk reliant. So, and by the way, Dak Prescott, he's a better quarterback skill set wise than Brock Purdy at this point in both of their careers. But again, I trust the system that Purdy's in more than I trust Dak's system.
So in fantasy football, a big statistic is target share. And I don't remember the exact number for CeeDee Lamb, but he was number one in football last year.
Yes.
Like Dak goes to him and goes to him and goes to him. And whether it's caught or not, he doesn't stop. This is a guy that's going to get 10, 12, 14 targets a game sometimes because CeeDee Lamb is that talented. And the Dallas Cowboys, frankly, don't have a ton of depth behind him at the wide receiver or tight end position. CeeDee Lamb is one of the best wide receivers in this league, and he has tons of volume. Cowboys need him.
And like I said, when you have that many more weapons around a quarterback like you do in San Francisco, the comparison, it's apt because these are two teams that could see each other in the playoffs again. It feels like the 49ers and Cowboys have done that dance many, many, many times over, and because they have. Moving on to another piece of breaking news, Adam Schefter had this yesterday, again, also after we turned off the microphones for our show. Sean McVay said that quarterback Matthew Stafford reported to the team that he wants his contract adjusted. He wants more security. So Matthew Stafford, who is in his late 30s now, is looking to have this contract reworked. I forget exactly what he's owed, but I believe he signed something to the tune of $160 million contract, and wasn't
4-year 160.
There it is. Okay, so we're talking about a $40 or $40 million a year player looking for more at an advanced age.
Now, 2024, his cap hits at $49.5 million. His cash this year is $31 million. Is there a way for the Rams to like fudge the numbers basically and maybe get him more money, more security, but lighten the load on the cap?
Yeah. So part of this is probably his agent realizes the cap hell that the Rams have put themselves in and might be able to exploit that a little bit because they will get cap relief. And if you're Sean McVay, if you're Les Snead, and you want Stafford to be your quarterback for the next couple of seasons, you talk to Stan Kroenke and you say, hey, listen, we're going to guarantee him a whole bunch of money here. It's going to help us, though, because he's going to be our quarterback either way for the next 2 years. And as long as he doesn't get injured or injured enough where it really affects our team overall, well, I mean, this makes sense. And so if that's the way they pitch it to Kroenke, I could see them getting a deal done where maybe it's not a massive contract, but it's going to be one of those. Well, it'll still be a massive contract.
It's going to be huge.
It's still going to be a massive contract.
After next season, the Rams do have a potential out for this contract. So I think this will probably be pretty telling on what the Rams want to do in the future. Like if they think it's this year or next year for Stafford, they're not going to touch his contract because they don't have to.
Well, what they'll do again, if the only way the Rams change the contract is if they're sure that they want him for the next 2 years. So we're going to have a lot of answers on the NFC West front here very shortly, the NFC in general, because I mean, you look around, there's a lot of contracts that need to be worked out. Let's focus on the NFC East though. We were just talking about CeeDee Lamb and the Cowboys. And we are doing our preseason divisional preview, and we'll stop off there with the Cowboys for a moment. We just spoke about them, so we'll be brief here. But Dak, he needs a contract. CeeDee Lamb, he needs a contract. Micah Parsons, he needs a contract. Mike McCarthy, he needs a contract. Among those four people I just mentioned, who do you think is going to be the odd man or men out?
I think if the Dallas Cowboys don't do something special this year, Mike McCarthy is probably no longer the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. The reason I say that is because Bill Belichick is going to be available next hiring cycle. And I think Jerry Jones would probably love to have Bill Belichick be the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. I think CD gets paid. I think Dak gets paid. I think Micah gets paid because Jerry loves to pay his guys.
I'm not so sure on Dak. And here's the reason why, because if they do this dance and Dak wants to take a bet on himself, he could make himself an insanely rich man reaching free agency.
Do Kirk Cousins?
Yeah. I mean, look, it's worked for Captain Kirk. And even tearing his Achilles, Captain Kirk is one of the highest paid players in the NFL going to the Atlanta Falcons. Now, did they draft a top 10 quarterback? Yeah. It seemed inconceivable for the Atlanta Falcons to do so, but he still got paid. He got a bunch of money guaranteed in that contract too.
Kirk Cousins next season will pass Tom Brady in career earnings.
So I wouldn't be completely shocked if they don't come up with a deal that Dak thinks is worthy of his play. He'll play without a contract or without a contract extension and maybe test free agency. And I don't think that's crazy because look, a lot comes with being the Dallas Cowboys quarterback. They've done a lot of winning, no question. You can say what you will about his playoff record and maybe some of his personal performances in the playoffs that he's been involved in that has affected that record.
2-5.
Either positively or negatively. I think by the way, I hate using a record in a postseason to justify a quarterback's ability. I think we should take a closer look at the game logs and look at the stats before we make judgments on whether or not a quarterback is good in the postseason or not. So I think it's a foolhardy endeavor trying to say whether he's good or not based on a 2-5 playoff record. But what I do know is it's tough being the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. You're going to be scrutinized constantly, and maybe he's tired of it. Maybe he wants to get paid somewhere else. And there's a lot of QB needy teams who would sign a Dak Prescott to an enormous contract to have him.
Yeah, he'd probably love going to like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and just be away from it. But he would lose his like chunky soup contract. He'd lose his sleep number contract.
Well, how do you know? I mean, he's still an NFL quarterback. Yeah. Baker Mayfield's still all over insurance commercials.
That's a good point. I feel like the Dallas Cowboys quarterback gets like a few automatics as soon as they are the Dallas Cowboys quarterback. Like Tony Romo was doing the same thing for years.
Oh, there's no question. And look, a lot of the
Troy Aikman still is doing them.
You transition to a broadcasting job. Jason Witten was at least a Hall of Famer in the eyes of the Dallas Cowboys. Like he got an opportunity to be a color analyst on ESPN. Yeah, I mean, it's just This is how it works.
He sucked.
Well, this is how it works when you're a Dallas Cowboy, though. You get if you are a beloved Dallas Cowboy, especially a career-long player with the Dallas Cowboys, you get those opportunities even post-career. All right, let's move on from the Cowboys. We said we'd be brief. We were not. The Eagles, they were 11-6 last year, but they absolutely tanked through the end of last season. Last 6 games, lost all 6 of them. This was a train wreck. Nick Sirianni, on an 11-win season, almost lost his job. They had to restructure the entire coaching staff. There were a lot of coaches who just flat out left them. So what do we think? Jalen Hurts, is this going to be a revival, or is this going to be breaking up the Beatles?
So I was reading one of the PFF things, their preseason stuff they put out, and they still have the Eagles as one of the best rosters in all of football.
They're stacked.
They're stacked, but they lost some pieces, man. And the one that comes to the top of the head immediately is Jason Kelce. And I know that he's the hot name to throw around. Oh, the best center in football. I don't even know that that's necessarily true from a physicality standpoint. What I do know is true is that Jason Kelce made Jalen Hurts a much better quarterback.
Oh, no, he was the best center in football. There's absolutely no question. When you watch him on film from a technical standpoint, from a sheer strength standpoint, now was he the biggest player? No. Was he a mauler? No. But when you talk about getting the job done as consistently as a human being can at a position, there's really, in my eyes, been nobody better. I think he's the best center I've ever seen play the game.
Now, we've never seen Jalen Hurts take snaps from anybody but Jason Kelce. How much of an impact does that have on a young quarterback who grew up with a guy, a sturdy rock, and a leader of a team as the dude in front of you? That's
the question. We don't know. We don't know the importance until we see how much he was able to absorb from Jason and how much Jason was doing for him. If Jason Kelce was making a lot of the offensive line calls, if Jason Kelce was helping fix things, make things right with the pass blocking schemes, or even, getting them out of bad situations, because a lot of times based on safety rotation, a center will know sometimes even before the quarterback what play you need to get to. And so it just depends on how much he was doing. If he was doing a lot for Jalen Hurts, this is going to be a struggle. If he wasn't doing as much, or if he has a competent enough backup who he's trained to take over for him, then we won't see as much of a drop off. The Eagles, it's going to be precarious though. It's a make or break season, as it is for the Giants, who finished their season 6-11, much different record than the Eagles, but it did feel very similar. It felt like, wow, this could be a 2 and done situation for Brian Daboll. They might just get rid of this guy.
Now, the Giants feel like they probably should start over. I think that the offseason Hard Knocks, while I haven't seen every episode, I watched a few. And the one that really stood out to me was the one where the Mara family was talking to Joe Shane. It is the funniest text message we've ever gotten. I'm so glad you just held up your phone.
Travis Dale wants to come home.
We should probably read that one out loud and do the Travis thing.
Yeah.
He knows we're on air.
Yeah. I'll read it right now. He said, "I'll tell you what sucks about being on quote unquote vacation without a car. I'm done. I'm ready to come home, but I'm stuck here for another 33 hours. I pray to Christ that Sarah Dale is not listening to this show this morning.
She is, and I hope she smacks him in the face. TD, man up.
Dude, yeah, you're on vacation.
Enjoy yourself. Go get a spa treatment.
Stop texting us.
Oh, TD. But, okay, so the conversations between the Mara family and Joe Shane, the general manager. Is he the general manager or the president? I think he's the GM.
He's the GM.
Joe Shane. And the conversation they had where they're talking about the fact that, okay, if we let Saquon go, how sure are we that he's not going to go sign with the Eagles? Because I'd really be kicking myself if he goes and signs with the Eagles. That is the owner of the New York Giants saying those words. And Joe Shane's like, I've heard some rumors that maybe the Eagles would be in, but I don't think they would be. Guess where Saquon Barkley is now?
Yeah.
The guy who was the face of the franchise.
Listen, the Philadelphia Eagles got better. The Giants got worse. It's a divisional rivalry. It's one because they're so close in proximity, where the Giants play in Jersey versus where the Eagles play in Philly. I mean, there's households divided all along that route. So it's going to be very interesting to see the twice this season matchup between the Giants and the Eagles.
Are the Giants the most likely team to burn everything down by the end of this season?
I would say.
So general manager, coach, quarterback, gone.
Just based on the quarterback. I mean, look around first of all, Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts, obviously the class of this division, but Jaden Daniels is going to get a leash. He was a second overall pick. So nothing's happening in Washington, even if they have a terrible season this year.
I mean, in the entirety of the NFL.
Oh, no. Yeah, I would peg the Giants not only as the favorite in their division, but in the conference and probably in the NFL. It's a make or break season in the biggest way possible for the entire organization.
You also feel like HBO kind of knew that, and that's why they picked the Giants for the offseason Hard Knocks.
Well, of course, and also they do kind of punish bad teams.
Yeah,
they kind of say like, "Hey, look, if you don't want to be on Hard Knocks, be better," and then maybe I'll
like
have a
the
little
Cleveland
more cachet.
Browns with Hugh Jackson, who looked like a total idiot when they were doing it with him. He looked fake the whole time.
Yeah.
John Gruden and the Raiders looked like he was performative the whole time.
Oh, he loved that.
He
John Gruden
adored it.
He loved it. He loves being in front of the camera. All right, Commanders 4-13 season. That's the reason why they had the second overall draft pick. New ownership, new QB, new head coach. I'll tell you right now, the Washington Commanders are one of my favorite back of the burner teams this season because I think Jaden Daniels, to my eyes, looks like the most NFL ready quarterback. I said this to you during the draft process. I still feel that way. There are good reports coming out of training camp. He's a dynamic athlete. He was the Heisman winner for a reason. I think a mobile quarterback is the vitamin C to a struggling offense. And it could be boom or bust, and it definitely has bust potential, but I think offensive coordinators, like we've discussed in the past, have really changed their ways. They're not trying to force a quarterback to amend themselves to fit a system. They're amending systems to fit quarterback skills and talents. And I think in terms of skill and talent, Jaden Daniels is easily the most skilled and talented quarterback coming out of college football. And if you want to make the argument for Caleb Williams, I would say it's neck and neck. I'm not arguing with you because I could see it his way as well. But in terms of just where he's going and what they have around him and my belief in Dan Quinn as a coach, I think the Washington Commanders are kind of a watch out team in the NFC.
Now, Commanders did get busy in the draft. Well, their backup quarterback right now is Marcus Mariota, but the third stringer right now is Sam Hartman, the guy from Notre Dame. You remember him? All the ladies fell in love with Sam Hartman. They did get Austin Eckler in free agency. He was with the Chargers, of course. Brian Robinson Jr. is still their backup running back. Had a really nice year last year.
He did.
He's slotted as the 2 running back heading into the season. And then remember, they picked up Luke McCaffrey, Christian's little brother, speedster, and he's going to be like their wide receiver 3 heading into the season. Washington loaded up. They still got Scary Terry. They still got Jahan Dotson, Jahan Dotson's been a fun fantasy piece for everybody who plays because he's a big boomer bust game. So it's like 18 points or no points for Jahan, but keep an eye out.
Well, he's deep threat and they needed one. And yeah, I just think if he's got the goods, look, this is a quarterback league. If you have a good quarterback, you got a good head coach, you got a great chance to make a run in the playoffs. If you have a great quarterback and a bad coach, you still have a pretty good chance. And same the other way around. That's the reason why the Steelers were a playoff team last year with a 9-win season, because you have a great coach and you had subpar quarterbacks. There's still a way to sneak into the postseason that way. But I like Dan Quinn. I like the selection they made. I like the pieces around him on that offense. The Washington Commanders defense has been one of the more feared groups for a half decade now. So I like a lot about Washington. Now, we didn't get to our morning monologues. We could get to that a little bit later on, but it is a Wednesday staple here on Big Rich, TD, and Fletch. Red pill, blue pill. That's coming up next.
Hit us up on the talkback mic. That's the little microphone icon right next to the play button. When you're listening to San Diego Sports 760 on the free iHeartRadio app, we want to hear from you. So hit us up on the talkback mic and tell TD that he needs to enjoy his vacation, not text us complaining about it. Hit us up on the talkback mic. This update is presented by Manchester United versus Real Betis at Snapdragon Stadium. Starting off with the Pods, they got a nice little win yesterday over the Nationals for their third straight win. Luis Ariz, Jerks, and Profar back-to-back home runs, 4-0 final score. 2 more against the Nats. First pitch today at 3:45. Matt Waldron going to be on the mound for the Friars. Tennis star Coco Gauff is going to join LeBron James as the flag bearers at the opening ceremonies of the Olympics on Friday. And the International Olympic Committee awarding the 2034 Olympics to Salt Lake City. Something we might sink our teeth into a little later on here. It's reported this morning that Kyle Shanahan actually offered a spot to Bill Belichick on his coaching staff. Belichick turned it down. The world-famous Manchester United coming back to Snapdragon Stadium to play Real Betis on July 31st. Don't miss Rashford, Mount, and Maguire for the Snapdragon Cup. Get tickets today at Ticketmaster.com. That is Ticketmaster.com.
Big Rich, TD, and Fletch. It's a Wednesday, so that means this is your third opportunity to win those Luke Bryan tickets. We have a pair for somebody in the listening audience. We gave them away yesterday during the 7 o'clock hour, so you never know. Luke Bryan, he's playing North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. It's an August 8th show. Ticketmaster.com to buy tickets or keep listening for your opportunity to win those. Okay. It's Wednesday, so you know what that means. Red pill, blue pill. Well, let's get into it. Okay, so this is based off our activities yesterday. We're at the Long Ball Hard Ice Tea Invitational over at Steel Canyon. Beautiful golf course here in San Diego. So red pill, you never golf again for the rest of your life. Blue pill, you never have another beer. Now, we did plenty of both. We had plenty of golf. We had plenty of beer yesterday. Really good combination. If you had to choose one or the other, which one are you going with?
Why would you do this?
This is the purpose of the game. It's
No,
to put
why
you in a
would
real,
you do
No.
this, Richard?
This is the purpose of the game.
Why would you do this?
Make a decision, Fletch.
Deuces beer.
You're going with golf?
I'd rather play golf. Yeah. So blue pill, never have another beer. You know why? Because I can enjoy a screwdriver or Fletch's surprise on the golf course.
This is an incorrect answer. Red pill, never golf again. You would have to take beer from my cold, dead fingers.
I love beer, but Rich, there's something special about a 4-hour walk outside with your friends and you hit a ball every once in a while.
Okay,
And you can still drink other stuff.
Whoa, hang on a second. Okay, yeah, I get it. But you could also play pickup basketball. You could also play shuffleboard. You could also play cornhole. There are so many other sports out there. You could play lacrosse and flag football. You could join a beer league, softball league, and actually drink beer if you give up the golf and not the beer. Look, you ever have a beer after doing hard days worth of yard work? You ever have a beer when everybody's in the house and you just got to get outside or get into the garage and you open the door and there it is staring at you? Your favorite beer, label out, and you pull it out, you crack it open, and you're like, you know what? I can go back in there and face those people because of that little libation. You ever have a beer, I don't know, when you're on a golf course? You don't have to necessarily even be golfing. You could just be watching other people golf. In fact, that's the reason why I would take red pill, never golf again. I can still ride the cart and drink a beer and enjoy a day golfing. I enjoy the beer on the golf course more than I enjoy the golf on the golf course.
You're making a lot of good points, Rich, but neither of us have gotten to the point in golf where we have hit a hole-in-one. And I would really like to do that before I die.
Next one.
I don't think there's a better feeling. There's not a better beer in the world, Rich, than the feeling you would get after hitting a hole-in-one.
This is going to make a lot more sense when we get to our next segment. But we have to ask the question now. Which would you rather fight? Red pill, fight a cocaine shark. Blue pill, fight a cocaine bear.
Okay, either way, I'm dead, so I want the cooler story. So I think I'm going with the cocaine shark. Also, less rapey.
Okay, are you worried about a bear forcing himself on you?
Yes,
Or
I've seen The
herself?
Revenant.
No. That bear was not trying to do. There was
Red pill, I'm fighting the cocaine
nothing
shark.
sexual happening in The Revenant.
It sure did look like
that
it.
Bear was trying to crush Leo and then eat his insides while they were still warm.
He was crushing by thrusting.
I'll tell you right now, I would way rather blue pill fight a bear because I don't know if you watched The Revenant all the way through that scene. There was nothing sexual. He ended up killing that bear.
No, I saw.
Oh, yeah.
And he
I
did
think-
live. That's
Dude.
also a movie. And I do not think any actual human would survive that bear attack.
We've seen it before. Nobody, well,
Not
I'm
like
not gonna say
that.
Nobody
Not
survived
like
shark
that,
attacks.
Richard. No, you can survive a bite from a bear. He got bit like 45 times.
We so far have disagreed on everything. Moving right along. Okay, this is based on Michael Gallup, the former Dallas Cowboy, current, or I should say now former Las Vegas Raider receiver, who just announced his retirement. So red pill, retire at 28. Blue pill, play for the Vegas Raiders.
I'm 28 right now. If I had enough money to retire, bye.
You
Catch me
are-
outside with all the cocaine bears, bro.
Dude, 1000%. We might have met a cocaine bear on the golf course
I
yesterday.
think we did.
Red pill, retire at 28, 100%. In fact, I did.
You just started working again like an idiot.
Yeah, that was a big mistake. Should have never done it. Would have never met you. My life would have been better. Anyways, moving right along. Okay, this is one that I was sort of trying to get into my own head and channel Travis Dale, like WWTDD. What would Travis Dale do? So in honor of TD not being here this week for Red Pill, Blue Pill, this one's for you, big fella. Red Pill, you can only eat with your feet. Blue Pill, you can only walk on your hands. This is a tough one.
I cannot physically do either of these things.
Well, you got to figure it out because it's the rest of your life.
I think I would go red pill, only be able to eat with my feet. Because yes, I'll get weird looks if I'm eating in public.
Yeah.
Not as weird a looks as if I were just walking everywhere on my hands.
Yeah. If you have to walk everywhere on your hands, like imagine how difficult it
You'll
would.
probably get arrested.
You would at least get stopped.
Yeah.
You would at least get stopped. That's correct.
And
Yeah.
you would have to tell the police officer, sir, I can only walk on my hands. I took red pill.
I'm so curious what your upper body would look like if you walked on your hands.
Some dude
primarily.
did it on TikTok. He said walking on my hands for like an hour a day until like whatever. And so after like a year of doing this, which he like had his house kind of set up to make it work, his forearms were absurd.
Yeah. That makes sense. Like, think about how strong your legs look, how much muscle are in your legs, even if you don't work out.
Right. Just walking around is working out.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm with you. I think I would rather red pill, only eat with my feet.
Flexibility is a problem. Fletchers are not known for being flexible people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Both mentally and physically.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say this. I've always been limber. So I do think at some
I can
point
touch my toes.
you
I
can.
didn't used to be able to. It was after I broke my leg I can. I don't know what that has to do with anything.
When we get back to talking about the golf round yesterday, I do want to touch on something that I noticed. And I think I pointed out to you yesterday, if I remember correctly. We were drinking a lot, so I don't remember what I said to you. But I do want to point something out. But first, you had mentioned in your update that Kyle Shanahan.
Wait, I have one more red pill, blue pill.
Oh, yeah, sure. Oh, you want to add one?
This is in honor of Travis Dale.
Okay.
Don't know if you've looked at your phone. He's texted again.
Oh, no.
Because after that text that you read where he's like, I'm sick of New York. I want to come home. Blah, blah, blah. This is why not driving is stupid. I said, go get a pizza. He said, I already did that. Hot take, unimpressed. Red pill, San Diego pizza.
No.
Blue pill, New York pizza.
Oh, 100% blue pill. It's not even close. That's no offense to San Diego pizza. I like San Diego pizza, and I've found a lot of places I like.
Oh, there's a new spot in PB that I really want to try.
Yeah.
Prince Street. It's a Detroit style pizza place. They just opened one up in PB. I really want to try it.
It's so funny you say that.
They have hot honey. I'm big into hot honey.
Yeah, same. Two places open up across the corner from each other, Prince Street. And actually there's another burger shop named Gus's right next to it, kind of in the same corner. And then across from it, a place called The Hideaway. It's right there at Garnett and Mission, right there by the pier. You know, so if you know where Board and Brew is, people in PB know what I'm talking about. But anyways, yeah, a couple of places, new places in PB you got to try. But getting back to his take on NYC pizza, here's the deal with Travis. You cannot trust his taste in food.
He likes frozen pizzas.
Oh, he sucks at eating. He sucks at it. He likes nothing. He has the least interesting palate of any human being I met. We talk to him all the time about
chicken nuggets and butter noodles, please.
Yeah, honestly, he eats like a 7-year-old.
Do you guys have fish sticks on the menu?
He eats fish sticks, dino nuggets, and I'm pretty sure he has
plain pasta,
meatloaf twice a week. He eats like a kindergartner. So unimpressed with New York pizza.
Well done steak.
Oh yeah. How can you trust somebody who cooks their steak past medium rare? The answer is you can't, and we don't. He won't eat sushi. He doesn't like fish, really. He'll eat salmon under protest.
Like, we took him to that all-you-can-eat Korean barbecue place. He would not touch anything other than the meat.
Yeah.
Those sides, he was like, no, don't trust him.
He refuses. So listen, it's not shocking what he sent to us in that text message. It's not insulting at all. We should expect it.
I don't think I've ever actually had a true New York slice of pizza.
You know what? Here's the thing. If you build it up in your head like it's going to change your life, you're going to be unimpressed.
That's what he did, for sure.
Oh, I mean, and it's stupid too. It's cheese and sauce on bread. Like, lower your expectations, because it's very easy to get right.
Well, it's your fault. Like, not you specifically, but New Yorkers, it's their fault.
Oh, yeah.
The way they talk about their pizza, like, it's so much better than the rest of the world's. I've been to Italy, bro. I'm pretty sure Italy's pizza's better.
Well, actually, that's not true, because I've never been to Italy, but I've had Italian style pizza. I don't like it as much as
pizza margherita.
Yeah, I like because it tastes like you're eating pizza on a cracker.
Well, it is.
So gross.
That's how it's supposed to be.
No,
we're Italians.
No,
Rich. That's what we do.
We're Americans, and figs are not as big of a thing in Italian culture as you make it sound.
They're not a small thing in Italian culture.
They're also not a big thing, though.
But they're not an Italian thing.
You know what's a big thing and a scary thing, and something that's coming for us potentially, found off the coast of Brazil? Cocaine sharks.
And your feet. Sorry, forgot to put it in the rundown.
So we'll get the cocaine sharks next.
Your feet are also a big, scary, stinky thing, and
they're coming for all of us.
They don't hurt.
Yeah. The dogs were barking yesterday after the course, and so I was thinking to myself, for the first time in a long time, I'm like, oh wow. I was like I'm gonna wake up feeling sore. Nope. Yeah, I walked a lot yesterday. In fact, my Fitbit, it doesn't have it because the day changed over, but I walked thousands and thousands of steps yesterday on the golf course. We hit 10,000 steps like halfway through the round. I thought that my feet were going to be sore waking up this morning. They weren't. I wear these arch supports from the Good Feet store. They're incredible. I wake up every morning feeling better than the last day, and that's how they work. The more you wear them, the better you feel. Your foot, ankle pain, your knee pain, your hip pain, your back pain. If you struggle with any of those, any lower body joint pain, trust me when I tell you, there's a lot of options out there. There's a lot of people who are going to tell you what you should do. There's a lot of surgeons who make a lot of money off of people who have run out of options. Well, they run out of options because they don't realize that maybe our supports are an option that will help you. I thought I was going to need surgery on my hip. I went to the Good Feet store. I started wearing these arch supports. The pain went away, and so did the doctor's appointments. I canceled an MRI. I didn't want to go down that route if I didn't have to, and now I don't have to. And I owe much of that credit to the Good Feet store. So if you're struggling with lower body joint pain and you're running out of options, give this a try before you do something rash, before you make any hard decisions. It's Good Feet, or I should say, it's goodfeet.com to schedule your first and free appointment, a try before you buy experience. That's goodfeet.com, 200 plus locations around the US and overseas. There's not one far from you. Again, lower body joint pain, head to the Good Feet store. Big Rich, TD, and Fletch. A spirited debate broke out on the group text with me, Fletch, and Travis Dale. Fletch caught some strays, although he did insult my homeland.
That's fine. Me?
Yeah.
What did I say?
Didn't you write? Oh, no. Oh, I misspoke. I went back and looked at it. It was the texts are coming in so fast. Thought you wrote New York sucks. Bye.
No, that's TD's morning monologue on Monday, because TD, who was on vacation in New York with his beautiful wife Sarah, is literally sitting in his hotel room watching the History Channel instead of doing stuff.
The greatest city in the world. And look,
I mean, some people say that
San Diego is the finest city. There's no question about it. There's no finer place because you get a mixture of the sea and the city. You get a mixture of the sand and the sights. You see everything you want to see,
but it feels like a small town.
Exactly. You see everything you want to see, but you're inundated with crowds. The summertime it gets a little packed. Obviously, you're fighting the zonies who come out to our beautiful city
Kick
to
those a-holes out,
infiltrate. But September, October, I mean, is there any better place on God's green earth than San Diego? The answer is no. But New York City has a charm that is going to be completely lost on Travis Dale. And it is. Like you mentioned, he's now sitting in his hotel room watching the History Channel, happy as a clam. His wife is begging him to continue their tour around the city. He's insulted the pizza there. He said it's overrated. He'd rather Little Caesars. And I called him a dirtbag hillbilly hick. That's what I said to him. And he's like, you know what? I am all those things.
Yeah, and then you out of nowhere just said if Fletch has SE taste in movies.
Okay, hang on. What
I have great taste in movies.
What I said is TD's food reviews can't be trusted because he eats like a picky kindergartner. So when I read your text message and I thought you were insulting New York, I did throw in there, and now I realize you caught strays. You can't trust TD's food reviews like you can't trust Fletch's movie reviews because you like a lot of awful movies.
Is this just a Fast and the Furious thing?
Dude, not just the Fast and Furious. There have been so many movies where you're like, oh my God, you got to see this movie. I'm like, I have seen this movie. It sucks.
No, that's not true.
I'm not saying you don't. Okay. You don't only like awful movies. You also like some really good movies, but you also like really crummy movies. So I can't trust.
Well, really campy, low budget films can also be awesome. And those are some of my favorite movies.
Yeah. And I agree with that. Like Cocaine Shark, which I hope becomes a movie soon.
Well, Cocaine Bear is already a movie based on a true story.
And now we have Cocaine Sharks off the coast of Brazil. This is either one of the funniest or most terrifying storylines I've ever seen.
I think number 2.
Okay, so sharks off the coast of Brazil have tested positive for cocaine, scientists say. Marine biologists have tested now 13 Brazilian sharp-nosed sharks. It's interesting that they are sharp-nosed sharks taking cocaine, but they have taken these sharp-nosed sharks from the shores near Rio de Janeiro. And they've tested them for high levels of cocaine in their muscles and their livers. The concentrations were as much as 100 times higher than previously reported for other aquatic creatures. The research carried out by the Oswaldo Cruz Foundation is the first to find the presence of cocaine in sharks.
Now, the research has not, they use the word ascertain, whether or not the cocaine is changing the behavior of the sharks. I feel like it's not, because if it was changing the behavior of the sharks, you would know when you're testing the shark.
Well,
because the shark would be ripping your face off.
I would say the behavior that you would observe if a shark was on cocaine is if like they were talking super fast and they were trying to start a small business with.
And there was a bunch of like LED lights flashing under the ocean, and the shark was fin pumping instead of fish pumping.
And they were saying things like I don't understand like why we really even need sleep. Like we should just stay awake until tomorrow morning and we should continue this conversation because I've never enjoyed talking to anybody more in my life right now. Do you want to hear another joke?
Is it a good joke?
No. It's just what people say. Listen, coming up next, we got to get back to the Padres who are making a statement before the trade deadline. The NFC South is our next preseason preview in terms of NFL divisions, and we get to be joined by our best friend.
I've also never done cocaine, but I feel like I've had that conversation a million times.
Well, yeah.
Hello, Kegnog. Come on.
Well, I mean, you've had Red Bull vodka.
That's true.
It's not far. It's not far from that. Okay, Kevin Acey, our very best friend in the whole wide world, he's going to join us as well. We're going to break down the Padres' needs heading into the trade deadline, and also Luke Bryan tickets. Stay where you are. It's Big Rich, TD, and Fletch.
This update is presented by Dairy Queen. Padres get a nice win yesterday over the Nationals for their third straight. Luis Ariz, Jerks, and Profar both hit homers. 4-0 final score. Two more against the Nationals. First pitch today at 3:45. Matt Waldron going to be on the mound as the Padres are kind of rocking a four-man rotation right now, at least until the trade deadline, we hope. Kevin Acee going to be joining us with the latest and greatest from Padres land coming up at 8:30. Tennis star Coco Gauff is going to join LeBron James as one of the flag bearers at the opening ceremonies of the Olympics. That's coming up on Friday. And the International Olympic Committee awarding the 2034 Olympics to Salt Lake City. Hey, DQ fans, mark your calendars. Thursday, July 25th is Miracle Treat Day 2024. $1 or more of every Blizzard treat sold at participating DQ locations. Richie, listen up. Benefiting your local children's hospital. Remember, July 25th, only at DQ. Happy, tastes good. That's tomorrow,
That's
man.
tomorrow.
Wow.
Welcome back. Big Rich, TD, and Fletch. San Diego Sports 760. Happy Wednesday to those who celebrate. Happy hump day to everybody out there. If you're just jumping in, yeah, it's midweek. Yeah, we still got all day today and 2 more days until the weekend. But let's be honest, Thursday kind of feels like a Friday.
Today's not Thursday.
I know that, but I'm just saying we're a day away from that. You know, the weekend really starts like 3 o'clock on a Thursday to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because
Like
Friday we get drunk at 8 a.m.
Well, that's true too. Yeah, for us, it's a little bit different from the rest of the working world. I understand that. If you are interested in tuning in for Bar Cart Friday, it should be a good one. We got a preview to it with Tony Conja, Keg and Bottle, 10 locations around San Diego. He was golfing with us. We were at the Long Ball Hard Ice Tea Invitational over at Steel Canyon Golf Club yesterday. That was a great course, in great shape for a great tournament. The second annual tournament for that brand.
Can't wait for the third. What's wild about playing golf with Tony Conja, and I don't know if you noticed this, Rich, but Tony never doesn't have an AirPod in.
Oh, yeah, that's true. He can't.
Because the entire time we were golfing, he was literally brokering like massive liquor sales that were going on his website.
Yeah, he was either fixing problems, communicating with employees, communicating with clients, or brokering these deals. He's an incredible human being because you've never watched somebody who I wouldn't be able to remain as calm as he is. That's the thing about Tony is nothing seems like a problem. He's relaxed. Like I'm not like that. Like I'm just not wired that way. Like he's just a cool character, man.
He came up to me whoa. Did you just get echo? I just got echo.
A little bit.
Oh, that was weird. He came up to me yesterday at one point and just showed me his phone, and it was a Macallan 40 that had just sold off of his website. He's like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And by the way, Macallan,
$20,000 bottle.
Very expensive bottle of liquor.
Good for Keg and Bottle.
Yeah, they're doing well. And they'll be back in here on Friday. And like we said, 10 locations around San Diego. So if Wednesday isn't too early for you to start stocking up the fridge or the wine cabinet or the liquor cabinet for the weekend, head to a Keg and Bottle. Thank you to Long Ball. That was an awesome event. We had a blast. And also thank you to the Padres. Okay, so while we're on the golf course, the Padres were out there beating the pants off the Nationals. 3:45 first pitch today. It was 3:45 yesterday where Randy Vasquez took the mound and made quick work, pitching the ball only 68 times on his way to 6+ scoreless innings before handing it over to the bullpen. And the Padres bats woke up in the 5th and didn't look back. Back-to-back homers from Luis Ariz and Jerks and Profar. And that's really what got the party started. And this is what that sounded like. I'm such a big Profar fan now. I mean, I always liked his attitude. I liked the idea that as a utility player, he was a guy who wasn't afraid to spark something. But now playing the way he is, truly stepping into his own as the player he was prospected to be. I mean, he was a high level talent coming into Major League Baseball, and and he's fun. We're reaping the benefits as a fan base, and he's reaping the benefits as a player for all that hard work he's put in over the years. So it's awesome to see for him. It's awesome for Padres fans who are going to be, I'm sure, eager when they get back off of this 9-game road trip to see what we have on the other side of the trade deadline on this roster. And this is helping. You know, a tough series against the Guardians, who are one of the top teams in baseball right now. A tough series here against the Nationals. So far, 4-0 victory, and you have your best pitcher coming to the mound today in Matt Waldron. So this bodes extremely well for a team that needs some wins heading into the trade deadline.
Feels like a lot of positivity right now for the Padres, and warranted. They've played really, really good baseball over the last 4 games, I'd even say, because the starting pitching's been fantastic. There was like 2 blow-up innings by middle bullpen that led to that first loss against the Guardians earlier this week. But for the last 4 games, the starting pitching has been fantastic, and that feels great, right? It's coming off the heels of losing 7 of 8. So and it's coming off the heels of this Padres season where so far there's been 4 separate 5-game losing streaks. They're one of 4 teams in baseball, by the way, to do that. The other ones are not even sniffing playoff contention. Padres are the only ones who are. Now, you could throw all that together and say, holy crap, how is this team 3 games over 500? That's kind of how I look at it. Like, they've lost so much this year and in such rapid one after another way that the fact that they are 3 games over 500 at this point without Manny Machado having a good season, with 2 of your best pitchers sidelined for the majority of it, pretty freaking impressive, man.
Oh, absolutely. 103 games played. They've done a really nice job keeping the wheels on because they played some really bad baseball at times. And that's not sugarcoating it. That's just the hard truth. This is a team that is capable of both what we've seen over this series against the Guardians and this part of this series against the Nationals, and what we know they did against the Dodgers so far this season, and what we know they're capable of doing against really good teams, the class of baseball. When they go against them, they fare overall throughout the season pretty well. But this is also a team that can play down to competition, and we've seen that too. They've gotten swept by 2 of the worst teams in baseball this season. They got swept by the Angels and the Rockies this season. That's embarrassing. For a team this good, for a team that is capable of playing this good of baseball, they should not have had 4 separate 5-game losing streaks, but this is the hot and cold nature of this team. So yeah, like you just said, things are going well for the Padres right now. The unfortunate other side to that statement is, and so things are going to start going bad for the Padres because that's what they've taught us. Now, I hope not, because I don't think that would bode well going into the trade deadline like we've been talking about. And winning 2, or I should say 3 of the first 4 games on this 9-game roadie, that helps. But say they end up losing the rest of these, and we've seen them do that before. That would suck. And it would send a message to the front office. Hey, wow. Oh, just at the beginning of the week, we're 3 games above 500. And now at the end of the week, we're 2 games under 500. So what should we do here? Do we stand pat because they're teaching us that this isn't a team that can get motivated when we need them to? Because that's essentially what you're hoping for with the playoffs, right? Is a team that finds a way to get motivated when they need to. So this is like a mini playoff situation for the Padres. How bad do you want it? Prove to us that you can, and we'll help you get there.
And please, other teams in Major League Baseball, keep pissing off Jurickson Profar because he plays so much better when he's a little ticked off. Now, last time I spoke to Kevin Acee was on Monday, and the latest I've heard from him is he wouldn't be surprised if AJ Preller made a move before the trade deadline.
I think he should,
because it takes away some of the competition out of the market if you get something done early. I wonder if Kevin is going to change his tone on any of that. We're going to talk to him coming up at 8:30, or if he's heard anything, or if something's imminent and the Padres might be making a move. Because as far as I can tell, today is before the trade deadline. Like, could something be happening here in the next 48 hours or so?
Well, knowing this from my time being on the road with different teams and calling games and, just being a part of the media, when you're on the road, there are often times where you end up having conversations with people you don't normally bump into. And obviously in a baseball season, you're on the road a lot longer than you are in a football season. But the point I'm trying to make is, on a long road trip, Kevin Acee is probably bumping into people that he doesn't normally bump into, and having conversations with people that he doesn't normally have conversations with, and seeing people in elevators that he doesn't normally bump into in elevators because they're just on the road for a long time, or, bumping into somebody at a restaurant. So very, very interested to hear what he has to say about the Padres as we approach the trade deadline here coming up at 8:30 when he joins us. Also very interested to see who is going to win these tickets to Luke Bryan. We are giving them away this segment. So if you've been listening so far and you're wondering, when are they going to talk about that pair of tickets again? Well, he's playing that August 8th show at Chula Vista. And so if you want to win those tickets, I would suggest just staying right where you are. If you're tuned into Big Rich, Teddy, and Fletch, you chose well. Okay, we're going to hit a halftime here. And then on the other side, we are going to preview the NFC South. That was an interesting division last year. They had a playoff team. We'll get to that next. But first, this.
Get your puns ready because it's 8:15. It's time for TD's halftime. Filling in for TD. Talking about the WNBA. Making sure all the scores make very little sense. It's Rich Orberger.
That's right.
Filling in for the man who thinks New York pizza sucks.
That's right. Yeah. And we need to trust its food review because TD, if there's one thing he knows, it's food.
I was just in the break room and somebody in there was listening to our last segment talking about TD and his food choices. And she said, and I quote, "He looks like he would eat everything."
Oh no. Oh no. Wait, hang on. Let me whisper in your ear who that came from. No. Wow. Oh wow. Oh wow. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's very funny. Coming from her, that's extremely funny. Okay. US Open champion Coco Gauff is going to be the female flag bearer for the United States Paris Games, or I should say for the United States at the Paris Games. The Olympics opening ceremony is going to be on Friday, so she'll join LeBron James as the two flag bearers for the U.S. She actually is back in the Olympics. She is the first female tennis player to ever be a flag bearer. And also didn't get to play in the Tokyo Games because she tested positive for COVID. So really fun story there for Coco Gauff getting back to the game.
Return of Coco Gauff and the return of Simone Biles.
That's
Remember,
right.
It was the last Olympics where she had the yips.
Yeah, she had, what do they call them? The spinsies or something like that, or the dizzies. I'm not even making this up. There's something that happens to gymnasts that as a general public aren't aware of, but apparently all the gymnasts are, where you kind of get disoriented when you're trying to do these dismounts and these insane twists.
It ends up dangerous for you. It ends up hurting the team because your points won't be as high.
The twisties. That's
the twisties. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And so actually we talked about this recently, but the conversation immediately about Simone Biles was, well, this isn't cool to do. How can you do this to your team? Turn your back. I think she was actually doing it for her team.
Well, what's interesting is the conversation started revolving around like mental health. And I get it. Like, there's no question that mental health is health. Trust me, I know it, know it. Like it's a big part of your day is how your perspective on things. Everybody knows it. But I think there's a lot of people when it comes to athletes who are pretty insensitive. It's like, hey, man up. If you're a guy athlete, if you're a girl, it's like, hey, get out there. Like, this is what you do. It's like, yeah, okay, that's true. That's what I do. It doesn't mean that what goes into it. And a lot of the people who have these harsh opinions were people who have never played sports before or participated in gymnastics. And I remember at first I might have been less than sympathetic. And then when I did more reading on the subject, I was like, oh no, this is a real thing. And this happens to a lot of gymnasts. And this is something that, like you pointed out, really should be respected because she's bowing out of the Olympics. Imagine that, like, that's it for gymnastics. There's nothing bigger than participating in the Olympics. That's when we pay attention to gymnastics. That's the only time we pay attention to the sport. So
she's back, and hopefully she's bringing home a gold this year because Simone Biles is the one person going into this Olympics that, in my mind, outside of like Team USA basketball, has that Michael Phelps appeal. Yeah, where everybody is going to be watching Simone Biles.
I agree with that. 4-0 victory for the Padres after winning series over the weekend to Cleveland. Awesome day by Randy Vasquez, who went scoreless through 6+ innings. Really efficient as well. Didn't have to use his arm or overuse his arm, I should say. Under 70 pitches thrown. 345 first pitch today. It's going to be Matt Waldron out there. And then Michael Gallup announced his retirement, former Cowboys receiver. He was currently a Vegas Raiders receiver. Hung it up after only 6 seasons. And speaking of the NFL, that gets us to the very next stop on our preseason preview pit stop in the NFC South.
Now, real quick, because I don't know that we'll have time to get to this any other time today. Any thoughts on Belichick turning down an offer from Kyle Shanahan to be an assistant of some sort on the 49ers coaching staff?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up because I wanted to get to that, but we got
cocaine sharks. We get it.
We got distracted with cocaine sharks, and that happens. That happens on sports talk all the time, I'm sure. With Belichick turning down that opportunity to be on the Shanahan staff. Look, I don't think two things. I don't think that Belichick wants to be anything less than a head coach. So it's either he's going to head coach or he's not going to coach. That's one. Two, this wasn't going to be a major role. I know a lot of people were talking about, well, maybe it could be someone's defensive coordinator. And yeah, maybe.
That's where my eyes lit up because I'm thinking if Belichick is the defensive coordinator, Niners got immediately a lot better than with Steve Wilkes there a year ago.
My guess is he was offered a analyst job or a defensive specialist job, not unlike Mike Vrabel, not unlike John Gruden with the New Orleans Saints. Remember, he joined up when Derek Carr went to the Saints. He started working for the Saints under Dennis Allen as an offensive assistant of some sort. Like a lot of these head coaches, they have friends around the league or they've made relationships with players and they can maybe impact the team positively who likes working with that coach. And so you don't have to hire him in any, official capacity, but just having an extra set of eyes in the building and helping you develop strategy and game planning. But like I said, I just don't think that he wanted to work underneath anybody else. I think he's going to be a head coach or nothing in this league. And so right now he's going to be an on-air analyst. He's going to work with ESPN, and he's going to break down the action on the field through his lens, which I thought he did a really nice job with draft profiles. He was on with Pat McAfee through the NFL draft, and it was really interesting to hear how he scouted players. I mean, a lot of these players he was currently scouting as the Patriots head coach before he lost his job. So hearing his breakdown on all these players was very interesting.
So here are the quotes from Shanahan. He was on the TK Show podcast hosted by Tim Kawakami. We've had him on the show before, Niners reporter with The Athletic. And this is what Shanahan said. I threw it out to him. He loves football so much that you never know what I can't believe that he's not a head coach of a team right now. I know what I would do if I was an owner, so that shocks me. And the last thing you want to do is insult someone like Bill Belichick, but I know he just loves ball in its simplest form, so I threw it all out to him, whatever he wanted to do. And then Tim adds, that included to be the team's defensive coordinator position. Shanahan said, a job that ultimately was filled when the 49ers promoted Nick Sorensen to the role.
Yeah. Who, by the way, has been a good soldier for the 49ers and was a good football player. I like Nick Sorensen. So I think it
sounds like it was a quick phone call.
Yeah. Yeah.
Belichick was very nice and appreciative, but he politely turned me down.
Yeah. Yeah.
How would that go? Hey, Bill, you love ball. Can't believe you're not a head coach. Would just like to offer you any role you want except my job.
No. All right, back to the WNBA. Actually, I have no idea if there are any scores to report.
No, they're on break right now because a lot of their players are getting ready for the Olympics, so they take a gap.
So let's do it. NFC South. So let me give you the quick overview, and then I want you to spotlight the team that you want to talk about. So the Saints had not only an incredibly forgettable regular season, but they also had an incredibly forgettable offseason, looking to bounce back with Derek Carr. And as aforementioned, Dennis Allen is their head coach, who really, he's a coach's coach. The players seem to like him. But again, just another forgettable face. Until I see more, I really don't know what to think of the Saints. Let's move on, though. Buccaneers, they locked down Baker and Evans this offseason. The Panthers, they can't get much worse than they were a year ago, right? And then the Falcons, of course, signed a huge free agent to their roster. They got Kirk Cousins, Captain Kirk, quarterback for the Dirty Birds. And then they draft a top 10 quarterback in Michael Penix Jr. out of Washington. Okay. So which team would you like to spotlight first?
I really like the Falcons this year. I really do. I'm a big fan of Kirk Cousins. We actually don't know if Kirk Cousins is going to be ready to go for week 1 because of the injury that he sustained and when he sustained it a year ago. but it's the Achilles, and it was late in the season. We don't know how ready to go he'll be. But Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, that is a fantastic running back room. Might be one of the better ones in football. Drake London out of USC. He's scratching and scratching and scratching, and you feel like he's going to break through. And Kirk Cousins might be the guy for him to break through with. And then Kyle Pitts, again, another guy who the potential's always been there, right? But he hasn't necessarily had the guy throwing it to him. Both of those guys now have the guy throwing it to him. Kirk Cousins can get you yards. I think the Falcons are going to be scary.
So Bijan Robinson, interesting last year, for a large portion of the season, wasn't used very often.
No, it was weird.
And underused overall. Okay. I remember talking to, it was Wade Phillips about this. And Wade Phillips, who former head coach in the NFL, longtime coordinator in the NFL, his thought process was, if you have a great player and you think you have a great system, but a great player can't play in your system, you have a bad system. Wade Phillips. So look, I trust him in that. I agree with him. Arthur Smith, the head coach of the Falcons, offensive-minded head coach, offensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans, had a lot of success with Derrick Henry when he was there with Ryan Tannehill, and he was working under Vrabel, took the job as the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. And when he went to Atlanta Falcons, could not find a way to get Bijan Robinson on the field. Now, I don't know if there were issues where he was showing up late to work or missing meetings or sleeping through meetings, or if they, and they weren't reporting these things. I mean, because unless this was disciplinary and they somehow found a way to keep that from all of us, like, how could you possibly keep such an absurd talent in such a plug and play position that we typically see young players have success if they're talented enough off the football field? It made zero sense. So that was a head scratcher last year. I agree with you. The Falcons are the class of this division, even though the Tampa Bay Buccaneers locked down their quarterback, who played better than anyone else in division last year.
I do like Tampa Baker a lot.
Baker Mayfield's an interesting guy. And
I'm rooting for him.
They bring back Mike Evans, who I'm rooting for him too. I like Mike Evans.
Now, I don't know much about Zach Robinson, who got promoted to the Atlanta Falcons offensive coordinator role for this year.
I played with him. Zach Robinson's good people.
So he was a passing game coordinator with the Rams, I believe, last year and the year before. In 2023, Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford completed 326 and 521. So he was involved in the Rams passing game the last couple of years. But Zach Robinson is the Atlanta Falcons offensive coordinator. Raheem Morris, their head coach, he leans defense. You're assuming, right, that hopefully this Zach Robinson guy can get Bijan, Kyle Pitts, and Drake London the ball, because those are the playmakers. Look, a lot of people were fans of us, Richie. A lot of people were worried about us because all three of us were very fat.
Yeah, that's true.
We had a lot of people in the building who were like, we love you guys. We want you to be healthy and stick around for a long, long time. And so they hooked us up with Wayne and Chloe over at sdfatloss.com. And Wayne and Chloe said, all right, these next 2 months, they're going to be tough, but you're going to be better off for it. And all three of us were. We stuck to the game plan. We stuck to the roadmap laid out for us by Wayne and Chloe and sdfatloss.com. And all three of us lost 35 plus pounds within 2 months' time. You can do the exact same thing. Get on over to sdfatloss.com today. Mention Big Rich, TD, and Fletch, and you are going to save $200 on the program. And they're going to lay it out for you. They're going to show you how you can lose weight the natural way without putting any drugs into your body or having to eat any of those nasty prepackaged meals. It's good food. They're just showing you the right way to eat it. So get on over to sdfatloss.com today. Tell Wayne and Chloe we said, what up? Save $200, and you are going to start dropping the weight, and you'll start dropping it fast. It is so much fun getting on the scale every morning with sdfatloss.com, because you're seeing the results the next day and the next day and the next day.
Yeah, no question about it. Coming up next, we have Kevin Acee, our very best friend, joining the show. Padres insider here at San Diego Sports 760. But before we run, 877-767-4760. That's 877-767-4760. Call in at exactly 827 and be caller number 7. And you are going to Luke Bryan at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater over in Chula Vista, August 8th, for his show here. Ticketmaster.com for those who don't get the tickets on the phone lines. That's Luke Bryan. Call in at 827.
This update is presented by Taco Bell. We will begin here with the Padres, who got a nice win yesterday over the Nationals for their third straight. Luis Ariz, Jerks, and Profar both hit home runs. 4-0 final score yesterday. 2 more against the Nats. First pitch, PITCH. Today at 3:45, Matt Waldron going to be on the mound. Kevin Acee, our best friend in the whole wide world, going to be joining us in just a couple of minutes to talk about the Padres and the trade deadline. Tennis star Coco Gauff is going to join LeBron James as the flag bearers at the opening ceremonies of the Olympics on Friday, and the International Olympic Committee awarding the 2034 Olympics to Salt Lake City for the Winter Olympics. Again, that's 2034, going to be back in the US of A. The street is home to new ideas, surprising innovations, and new ways of understanding food. It's what inspired Taco Bell to create the new cheesy street chalupas with grilled steak, fresh onions, and cilantro. Try them today at participating U.S. Taco Bell stores for a limited time only while supplies last.
Kevin Acee about to join us here on the air. Our Padres insider. We're wrangling him as we speak. For those of you interested in those Luke Bryan tickets and you missed out, we will have those tomorrow. We will have those Friday on a Bar Cart Friday, brought to you by Keg and Model 10 locations around San Diego. Hopefully, speaking of a Bar Cart Friday, Kevin Acee was able to hit up a bar on his day off yesterday, or I should say 2 days ago, before this national series got underway. A big win for the Padres, a 4-0 victory, back-to-back homers in the fifth off the bats of Luis Ariz and Jerks and Profar. A phenomenal pitching performance by Randy Vasquez. Super efficient, 68 pitches thrown, 6 in some part of a 7.
Just one
scoreless innings. I mean, just really impressive stuff there. The Padres on fuego. That means on fire in the King's English. But that means that the other shoe is about to drop. Is that wrong or right, Kevin, to assume that since things have been going so well for so long that the Padres are going to disappointment? They're going to disappoint us just like they've been all season long. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good, but I get that. Yeah, I get that for sure, because that's kind of how the season's gone. And then also, like, there's limitations in the bullpen, and there are only 4 real starters, and you need 5, to get through the season. They're fortunate because they've already played so many games. They have a lot of off days, and they don't need a 5th starter that much, but they definitely need one, or they're not even going to get to the end of the season, let alone the postseason. So I get that. Plus, like, Manny Machado's not hitting again, and Fernando Tatis Jr. isn't in the lineup, and Bryce Johnson's playing right field. So yeah, like I understand.
Yeah, Bryce Johnson's not very good. I don't know what the Padres are going to do. I'm just saying, like, there's been nothing there. Okay. Hey, Kev, what are you hearing while you're out there looking at, like, that big pointy building in front of the lake and the big tall guy that kind of looks like Abe Lincoln? What are you hearing while you're out in Washington, D.C.? Anything good for us?
No, but I'll tell you, this place is different than like anywhere else.
How so?
I don't usually stay in I don't know what to call it. Is this downtown Washington, D.C.? Like, I don't usually stay up near, like, Capitol Hill and where the epicenter of everything is. And I am this time. And just the conversations you overhear, the people you see, the security, like, it's actually a pretty neat place to.
Yeah, Kevin, I wasn't talking about national security. I was talking about the Padres and the trade deadline. But, do what you got to do.
Why were you then leading me down the road of the Lincoln Monument?
I was just setting up where you are.
Hang on.
I want to know about the Padres. Where are Padres insider?
No. Hang on a second.
I also am on the morning show where we don't even talk about the Padres.
Screw the Padres for a second. No, Kevin.
Where's Travis?
No, you were doing this the right way, and Fletch completely ruined this. Screw the Padres for a second. So you were giving us, like, the inside the Beltway breakdown here, staying on Capitol Hill, and Fletch rudely interrupted you. So what sort of whisper campaigns have you been partaking in here? I mean, we've had so many things happen. We had a presidential candidate shot. We had a presidential candidate drop out. He's foisted his endorsement on a female presidential candidate. So what are you hearing? What do you know that we don't know? Maybe this could be a news update.
What do you think I've heard while I'm sitting in the bar in my hotel? Like, what do you think I've heard? Nothing.
Yeah, all right.
Absolutely nothing. But it's just a really neat place to be in that, like, there's just like stuff going on. And these people that are here aren't like sports writers, like doing nothing with their life. There's people like they're trying to like get things done. Now, whether they are getting anything done or not, I mean, we can debate that all day, but like they're trying. And it's just a really neat place to be. And I don't usually do this. I usually just stay by the ballpark because, as you guys know, I'm incredibly boring. And if you'd like to talk about the Padres, I mean, we could do that. I would welcome that. But like, Fletch, you can't be like going one way and then doing the other. I feel like you were setting me up, bro.
Yeah, maybe, probably. But I do want to know if you've heard anything from like, I don't know, the trade deadline. But I will say, Rich, there's another nod to Big Rich, TD, and Fletch in Kevin's latest. Is this your daily? Yeah, I believe this is your daily. You talk about Bryce Miller being out there in Washington, D.C. On Monday, Kevin, I told you that if you and Bryce went out for an old-fashioned, I'd foot the bill for it because I want you to explore a little bit. At the very bottom of your little Bryce Miller piece, which you're promoting his article as a very good friend you are, you say he has also yet to invite me out for a drink on this trip.
Wow.
Do we need to talk to Bryce?
Yeah. I think we have to mend the fence here. That's on us, Kevin. Let us handle that.
Yeah. I mean, I need some help with that with Bryce. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everybody knows it. Huge jerk. Huge jerk. That's well known around town. We get it. So we'll work on Bryce Miller.
Hey, by the way, what was happening in the video that you sent me yesterday?
We were taking heroin.
Oh yeah. Oh no. Yeah, that wasn't heroin, although it did look like it. We, for the second year in a row, received B12 injections while participating in a golf tournament. So that's how our day went yesterday.
Okay, cool. I don't want to take any more time on it. I'm sure you've already talked about it. I'm sure you're doing great. And I just wondered.
Life's better on the other side of that shot. There's no question about it.
I will say, not hungover a lick today. I think that has something to do with it.
Yeah. Fletch says he's not hungover. Fletch looks like death.
I'm just tired.
He looks like he literally looks like if I gave him the okay, he would sleep the rest of the show and maybe the rest of the day.
Sounds like you're hungover.
You sound like you're hungover. Jerk.
I love how your voice cracked when
I
you
know,
said
that was bad timing. Kev, what's going on with the Padres as we get close to the trade deadline?
Well, they need a starting pitcher, and I think that they have, let's call it like $10 million to spend. They need a relief pitcher. They can't keep going with what they've got in terms of like you don't just go with three guys. You've got to be able to depend on somebody else. You can't keep riding Robert Suarez like this. Though I do applaud them for how that they and he have done it. In terms of names, so when I talk about the trade deadline, like, look, I'm not Ken Rosenthal, I'm not Jeff Passan. You hear all sorts of things, but like then if you say this, that, then you got to say that and this, and like I just, what are they looking at? They're looking at more of a Yusei Kikuchi. That is one name. That not like a Jack Flaherty. Not to say. Did talk to some people yesterday that first people yesterday to tell me that the Padres are shooting higher on the starting pitching totem pole because there aren't that many starting pitches out there, and there are 10 teams legitimately looking to be buyers in starting pitching. And so, hey, if you're going to go for one, you might as well go and get one, and that there virtually is no prospect that is off limits. Now, that's why I don't get into reporting all this stuff and talking about it. I don't know exactly how real that is. The fact is, AJ Preller has probably had 400 conversations in the last month about players. So go ahead, pick one. Pick a player that they could be in on or going after, and you would probably be right.
Yeah, Guardians, Twins, Astros, Cardinals, Mets, Giants, D-backs, all potentially looking for starters, looking for rotation help.
Orioles, those guys have prospects. They have money. Dodgers
too. Yep.
Like have money and prospects. Like, it is highly competitive. So I think a lot of what I hear at this time, and I think other reporters, is brainstorming and like just possibilities. And it's all dizzying. And guess what? Within 6 days, we're actually going to have the real live stuff.
I'm going to
Like, we're
ask
gonna
you.
know.
I'm going to ask you a really important Padres question that I don't know if you're going to be able to answer based on whether or not this information has been shared with you or whether or not you want to share this information with us. But how much leash does AJ Preller actually have here? Because if I were an owner and I had a president of baseball operations and a general manager who I was thinking about potentially moving on from after this season, how much trust would I have in him to spend up our future capital for this year's endeavor if I wasn't sure if he was the future?
That's a really good question. It's the question that has sort of hung over this whole thing. I don't have a definitive answer other than to tell you that, like, that is a thing, right? Like, whether he's here or not, that question, or whether he's going to be here or not, AJ Preller, that question is something that the Padres have considered from the start. Like, we can't keep doing this. We can't keep trading the future for the present, even though, gosh, it's really worked out for us in terms of like selling the place out and getting people excited. But our payroll is $100 million less than it was last year, and we might have to cut it further next year. But we'd like to stay around this area, but we need it to actually be a team that can compete every year, and we can't have these big, huge holes. So that is something that is hung over the whole process. But I can't tell you definitively, like, oh, well, this is exactly what they're thinking. Because Eric Katsenda doesn't really exist as far as, we know. I see him every once in a while, and he doesn't really talk, and that's his prerogative. But it is a little different than the way the place operated under Peter Seidler.
Yeah, no question about it. A little less access to the thoughts that are behind the paychecks there with the Padres these days. Definitely more tight-lipped. Hey, we appreciate you though, Kevin. We really do.
Well, I know you do, Rich. I know you do.
Yeah. Maybe
I'm not sure why Fletch has to make it this way.
Yeah, he's making it weird, and I agree. He's a little off today, but
I offered to buy you and Bryce a cocktail.
Yeah, that doesn't like make everything okay, Fletch.
Yeah.
Damn, you hear that, dude?
I will. I
kind of hot.
Listen, that's exactly right. Yeah, I kind of like that. Actually, keep digging on him.
Yeah. Hey, it's all good. Passive aggressively, I said it's all good.
I like that Kevin Acey decides when he's done talking to us. Like, Kevin's still on the line. So, Kev, your final thoughts.
He gone.
Oh, he hung up.
Yeah, he hung up.
Yeah, he did it to us. He did it to us again, didn't he? We love you, Kevin.
Bye, Kev. Love you.
All right, coming up next, bottom of the barrel.
Big dog. Our iHeartRadio Music Festival is coming up September 20th, 21st at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Shabuzi, Dua Lipa, Halsey, how about the Black Crows? Yeah, they're all going to be there. You could be too. Get on over to AXS.com now to buy tickets before it sells out. iHeartRadio Music Festival.
Big Rich, TD and Fletch, San Diego Sports 760, headlong toward a weekend. That's right. I'm going to say it. Even though it's hump day, we're getting over the hump. Now, I realize it's only 9 o'clock in the morning or almost 9 o'clock in the morning, and many people are just starting their midweek journey. But as soon as today's in the books, man, it's all downhill. It's all downhill. So just get through it. We'll be here with you not only to finish out this program, but we're going to be back at 3 o'clock for part of the day with Kat Fisher on 101.5 KGB, filling in for Travis Dale. TD is in New York, gallivanting around, giving terrible food reviews.
Not gallivanting either, sitting in his hotel bedroom watching the History Channel.
That's actually more correct. He is currently sitting in a hotel watching the History Channel.
And I quote, "We saw all of New York City yesterday."
Yeah.
Is that possible?
No. He spent parts of 2 days seeing some of the sites and he's done. He said if he had a car, he would drive 33 hours back home. That's it. That was an exact quote, or 40 hours, whatever it is. So Travis Dale really enjoying his vacation. He'll be back Monday. In his stead, though, on 101.5 KGB later on today from 3 to 7 p.m., we're going to do Big Rich, TD, and Fletch part 2, as we do every weekday. We're going to be joined for part of the time by Kat Fisher, but then she has to go and instruct a spin class. So she's cheating on us for her spin class.
Thank God, by the way, her spin class coincides with the time of the show, because I already know that if we would be free at the time of her spin class, somebody would make us go take her spin class.
Oh my God. It never even crossed my mind that would be a possibility.
That's a inevitability. If we had free time to do it, someone would make us go do it and film it and put it online, and everyone would make fun of me.
We will die. Yeah.
Have you done a spin class?
Yeah.
They're hard.
I did one, and I don't even think I did the whole one.
There was like a month in college where Kendall would make me wake up at 5 a.m. and go use the rec center and take spin classes.
Yeah.
And it was college. So I was doing what I did yesterday every day. Like, that was college. We drank a lot. And I would have to wake up at 5 a.m. to go to these spin classes to keep this girl that I was trying to date happy. Now married her. And every single morning she would make me get out of bed and go. And then some mean lady would yell at me to get my ass out of the seat.
Yeah.
You got to push.
Yeah.
I want to push.
And knowing Kat for a little bit from working with her for 2 days now, what I can say is she would probably be a very nice person to have a spin class with, but also she would intimidate me. Like if she was yelling at us from her bully pulpit in front of a classroom of other spinsters or whatever you call people who are spinners. I don't know what you call them, but But either way,
I would like to see TD do it.
Indoor cyclists. I would not be happy though.
I would really like to see Travis try.
100%. So actually, just for that reason, I'll relent and I'll say I will do a spin class whenever she wants us to, whenever the time schedule matches up.
And I'll film you guys.
No. You're not out of this, buddy.
But no, someone's got to hold the camera.
Yeah, you're going to be involved. Trust me. She's not just going to take us through the paces. A story we should probably get to is a little known Texas assistant coach, because he's on the special teams coordination side of things, named Jeff Banks, has married Danielle Thomas. Danielle Thomas's nickname is the Pole Assassin. Danny Thomas is famous for being a stripper whose monkey bit a child. That is an actual headline. Actually, you know what? I'm going to read the exact headline as it reads. Texas coach Jeff Banks gets married to Danielle Thomas, aka the Pole Assassin, whose monkey allegedly bit a child. So, did you see the pictures in this article?
Yeah.
Good for Jeff Banks.
Here's my reaction. Huh?
Yeah, all of this makes very little sense. So I'm trying to recap, like, because parts of the article talk about their lavish wedding. They're showing pictures.
Sure, it was beautiful.
They're showing pictures. So Danielle was.
How does the monkey get involved with the stripping?
So here it is. So Danielle was an aerial pole artist. Okay, get that. I'm going to repeat that line. Aerial pole artist who was featured on the Jerry Springer show. She's also known as the Pole Assassin, her stage name. She owns a Panamanian white-faced capuchin, I guess, monkey named Gia, which was her emotional support animal. In 2021, Danielle built a horror house for children, a horror house for children to enjoy, but it turned into an accident when her monkey allegedly bit the hand of a child who attempted to high-five it during a Halloween in 2021. Okay, so anyways, guys, that's our show today.
No, Bryce Young looks like a child. Bryce Young is walking into the first day of training camp for the Carolina Panthers, and he has a oversized JanSport backpack on, and it looks like a third grader going to the first day of school. Very cute.
Dude, he's adorable. Bryce Young, the starting quarterback of the Carolina Panthers, is adorable, and I would adopt him.
Has Phillip Rivers, Tom Brady, Kevin Cobb, Ryan Lindley ever been once described in their football capabilities as adorable? No. In fact, I never thought that I could or would adopt them, but I will adopt Bryce Young if he's up for adoption, because he needs a home. And hey, thanks to Greg who
I want
won
to
those.
pack his lunches.
Thanks to Greg who won those Luke Bryan tickets. Thank you to the long ball guys, Dennis and Daniel, for inviting us out. And thank you to everyone who poured a bunch of liquor into our tummies yesterday. We appreciate you.
We did it once again, Fletch. We will be back tomorrow. More Luke Bryan tickets. The Herd is next. Later.